Hello, hello, hello. Hi, everyone. Hi, this is Arsenal Fan Circle. And yes, the captain didn't make the trip. We actually waved to him as we took off.
Wheels
So,
up without Ray.
yep. Ray's not with us. He's not going to be with us for a couple of shows, but we're starting out. This is the
We
first one
almost
without
made it
Ray.
on time. You're only 50
Yeah.
seconds late, Gary.
Oh, stop it. We're good. We're good. So, with me today, you've got, I'm DWTT, Gary to some of you. Don't waste a tweet to some of you. We got Stan. Stan, how you doing?
I'm doing very well, Gary. Nice to be here with you and Tony. And
Nice.
where is Ray? He's enjoying himself in Disney World or somewhere
I
like
think
that.
so. Yeah, I think he went down to Florida. Yeah.
Top
Had to
man.
go see Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse, sort out some problems between them.
Yeah, we got Tony down at the bottom there. How you doing, Tony?
I'm doing all right.
All right, and we will have another guest coming on, or a guest of the show will be on, and we'll introduce him when he comes. So here we go. First time without Ray, so I guess we'll try to keep this thing on in script or whatever we want to call it. But I'd like to say hello to everybody in the chat. I see we got some early arrivals. I see Bix Gunner. Well, welcome on the stoop. Imagine how you doing. He says he's running late, so as you can tell, we've got somebody from on the stoop coming on. Stefan, how you doing? And Riddy, welcome. All right, so let's see. What's the first thing we probably want to talk about? Let's see. We'll go here. All right. So it's a couple days ago. We had our what do they call it? The fourth round, I think it is, or the third round of the Carabao Cup against Leeds. And I was expecting us to go really weak, but I think we went semi strong a little bit, not too strong, but enough where I thought we were playing some players we shouldn't have, but that's all right. We did get the win, so we'll take that. Got a little scare with Benjamin, as he likes to be called. But I think we also did not get what we wanted in terms of results from certain players, and we'll probably get into that as well. So I guess we'll start with you, Stan. A little quick overview of how you felt about the Leeds match.
Well, if we start with the lineup, there was a large faction of the support base that felt that Mikel should have played more of a first 11. Thought that was the way to go. For me personally, I'm glad that there was rotation. I'm of a belief that if you're trying to get into the team, and you've got games like this coming up, you don't improve if you don't get the minutes. So on that basis, I was quite surprised to see Eddie Nketiah starting over Balogun. And that's just purely because it seems that Eddie Nketiah almost has one foot out of the door of the club. It doesn't look like he's going to extend his contract with so little left now. And we did everything that we could to get Balogun to increase his contract. Yet he's on the bench, didn't get a sniff. So I don't understand. Even if you think that Eddie's the better player, it's obvious that without getting those valuable minutes, Balogun's never going to improve. So I would have felt that what I would have done is you start Balogun, have Eddie on the bench, and what you're saying without saying it is, I'm going to give you your chance, but if things don't work out, I'll have to take you off, and Eddie will be replacing you. So just to give you a little bit of a kick up the bum, so that just to give you some motivation. I was surprised to see Ben White starting as well. I don't know if there were injuries to Pablo Mari. Obviously, there wasn't any injuries to Callum Chambers because he came on. But I was glad to see that it was a mainly rotated team. And the best thing that I can take away from it is it's good to have your B team come in and actually make a contribution. There's been so many times in the past in, maybe a group game in a European competition or a Carabao Cup where we've sent out our youngsters or fringe players and they haven't really, taken us forward in the competition and we've gone out. So I'm glad that they came in and they actually made a contribution.
No, they did. Yeah. And like you said, the one thing that did stand out a little bit. I mean, I expected them to go to the bench, like you said. I was hoping to see Balogun. I was hoping to see. Well, I actually was hoping to see a clean 11, just a totally different 11. I figured we could do that, and then the bench could be strong if we needed to go that route. I think Arteta is still not at that point where he trusts all of his players, so that's why I think he does certain things. I mean, Emil Rowe had to play, and I don't think he would have sat him.
I think Odegaard had a knock, though. I was surprised at that choice as well. I thought, Odegaard, who had a bit of a poorer game in his last game, would have maybe got the minutes. But it turns out that I think that he has a knock, but they're saying that he could be back in time for the weekend.
Yeah, I mean that he'll come back, but he won't play right much. I mean, if we have, I think a lot of us are thinking. Well, I guess we'll get into that kind of what our lineup will be, and he probably won't be part of that. At least the starting lineup, if we continue to stick with the 11 that played. So I guess we'll continue. We'll come back to you, Stan. But Tony, tell me a little bit about how you felt about your first initial thoughts on the Leeds match. So you can start with go ahead.
I thought we started off good, then we kind of disappeared for 20, 25 minutes. And I changed the game by dropping onto Ryan's live podcast. I'm 3 for 3 watching them with us winning this season. The middle part of the game was good. Still didn't really agree with the substitutions, but overall it's good performance. Surprised by some of the starts. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, I can't say I was impressed with the players themselves. I think they are good enough to hold up to the players that were put in front of them in terms, what Leeds brought to the table. I think they went really young. But I was expecting to see certain players really stand out, and they did not. For me, those two were Pepe and Martinelli. I was expecting them to be able to, regardless of who they were playing with, be able to stand out and be able to have a little bit more control of this match when they got the ball at their feet. And I didn't see that. So, a lot of us have been asking for them to be part of the starting 11 in some cases. And the only way to do that is to showcase your skills when you have an opportunity. I don't know if you guys saw it, but I did not see enough from them to say, you know what, I can see why. I don't understand why Arteta doesn't sit you, but now I can see why, if this is what you're going to give him when he gives you opportunities. I mean, we talked about when Saka used to play, right, when he was young, when he was younger, or should I say like last year or the last couple of years when he's played, come in and play like in the Europa League games and stuff like that. He always seemed to at least, we knew he was on the pitch, right? He was doing whatever he could to showcase what he could bring. And I was hoping for the same for Pepe and Martinelli, probably more Martinelli, because I think we know what Pepe brings and we know how he can just disappear in matches. But I was hoping Martinelli would have a little bit more hunger and actually be out there trying to do as much as he can to showcase what he's got. I don't know what you guys felt about those two, but those two are the ones I was hoping would definitely stand out for us and make a case for getting into games, either to start or even at least be some of the first or second off the bench.
It's one of those games, though, where when you try to pick out a man of the match, it's quite difficult because there wasn't any sort of standouts in the game. But on the other side of the coin, nobody had a really dreadful game. It was kind of like a middle of the road performance. But as I mentioned, we scored 2 goals. And, we're moving ahead in the competition. But Martinelli, I don't think he had a terrible game. It's just that we're expecting him to get a goal or an assist. I don't think he had a terrible game. But I think that Martinelli is a player that I would like to see have a run of games. I think the 2 players in our squad, and this is just my opinion, that benefit from getting runs in the side are Pepe and Martinelli. And it's funny because both of those players, to me, they're like the Mavericks. Yeah, they bring the chaos. They're very unpredictable in the way that they play. Sometimes they get the ball. You don't know what they're going to do next. They don't know what they're going to do next. But invariably, it could lead to something, an end product of a goal or something like that. So they're kind of similar in that respect. But I do feel that the both of them benefit from having a run of games. And with Martinelli, bringing him on with only 5 minutes to go, I'm not sure what you're expecting from him. And I think from the player, he's probably so eager to get into the side that when he's only got 5 minutes and he comes on, maybe he tries to do too much. He's trying to show the manager and the fans his whole repertoire in 5 minutes. And sometimes that leads to doing one step over too many, if you know what I mean. You know, one little thing too much instead of keeping it simple, because you're trying to force something to happen. So, although I have to say that, you know, you come away from Martinelli playing almost the full 90 minutes and there isn't a goal and an assist, and you think, well, did he take his chance? But I don't think he had a terrible game. I don't think it's a performance which means that he can't come back into the side for some time, you know, but I would like to see him coming on as a substitute and being used more as an impact substitute with more minutes where he's got an opportunity to try and make an effect on the game.
Definitely. And just before I make a comment, I'm just going to bring in our guest of the show here,
Yo.
Lolo from the Stoop.
What's going on, fellas?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good
Hello.
evening.
Yes. Good evening. Yes, we're just kind of going over the Leeds match, and we're at the point
I've been
now.
listening. I've been
Okay, so
listening to the whole thing.
All right.
I disagree with everybody.
No, like I said, I know that they didn't do anything bad or negative in terms of their play that would actually, for me, say, oh, hey, there's a reason why they don't play. But I was hoping to see some positives that would mean, okay, now you're going to get some matches. That's, you know, now I'm seeing something that I don't have from my other players that are on there, or I do have that, and I know, you know, I can utilize you. And like you said, if he's getting 5 minutes at the end of a match, that means Arteta doesn't see any benefit for him to come in earlier in the match, right? I think he only came in for 5 minutes, at least in the last time he came out, because I think Aubameyang was you know, feel a little, his legs weren't feeling so good at that point, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, he probably wouldn't have never come in that match, I don't believe. But in general, he should get, I expect him to get at least 20, but hopefully 30 minutes in a match to get his, you know, basically get his feet wet and get some minutes on the board there. So that's my thought on there. And I'll let you, you know, Lolo, since you just joined, I don't know if you have any thoughts you want to go over on the Leeds game in general. Any thoughts on the
thoughts? What are you talking about? There's so many thoughts. And apologies already for those of you who may not know me, but I usually do my show outside, and I'm used to being much louder than you guys, if that's okay. So maybe crank your dial down a little bit, because you guys are all smooth jazz right now. You guys are like, Arsenal's very good. And I come in, yo! No, but as you guys may or may not know, we have a large fan base that is Leeds United. I mean, they even bought me a kit, and they make fun of me saying my real club is Leeds United. Got a lot of love for Leeds United, but I also learned I know as much about Leeds United as I do about Arsenal, because these guys just won't shut up about it. And I love them all to death. And I'm sure a couple of them are watching right now. But what I saw from Arteta not fielding a brand new 11 of new kids was respect, because he knows Marcelo Bielsa is not going to change. Marcelo Bielsa will rest one or two, but I guarantee you, if Rafinha was fully fit, he would have played. He would have played. Like they make 0 cup runs. They're notoriously bad in the FA Cup. Like they haven't won a single FA Cup match in 20 years or something like that, or 5-10 years, something like that. So the cup to them is a big thing. Making a cup run is their only hope of silverware. Sounds familiar, right? So they were going for it. And the players that they put out, even though they put out some younger players, it was due to necessity. But also, Marcelo Bielsa is very, very careful. Leeds fans have been calling for these guys. Besides Drama, who actually had a fairly decent game, I'd say. He was a center back, I believe. But Crescencio Somerville, he's going to be a fantastic little player. He's very similar to Rafinha in his movement and stuff like that. But Cresswell, who started for them, I can't even fully remember right now. But the guy,
and
so
Daniel
starting
James.
Rodrigo. Rodrigo is your 90-minute or at 80-minute player main focal point with Patrick Bamford out. It's not like they benched Bamford because it's a midweek game. They gave Rodrigo a shot, or continued playing him because he's their best option up front right now. So even though it seemed like they might have fielded a weaker team, it was more due to necessity than anything else. Calvin Phillips played. Like without Calvin Phillips, they are relegated. So why would you play him in a midweek cup, Carabao Cup, energy drink cup, unless you were actually going for it? So I was a little bit, the biggest issue that I had with the starting lineup for Arsenal was I thought if Lacazette is there, he should be starting, especially if you're bringing in young kids. He's so good at directing the young kids and making them better players. Look at interviews with all of them. The guy they talk about on the training ground that leads them and they're learning so much is Lacazette. He just has a way with him, which is very good. So I was like, look, if he's going to be on the bench, give him his time. It's not like you're going to start him against Leicester, are you? Now, let me eat my words, Arteta, because I know you're one of the people watching the show right now. I called him. Don't worry. I was like, you should watch this. But I was like, give Laka the cup then, please. And give them some leadership, because Eddie and Nketiah, to me, him and Martinelli together, their biggest flaws is that they were good at a young age, and they've both drank their own Kool-Aid, and that's why, I mean, Eddie almost missed the fucking tap in, because in his head he was like, "Oh, should I do a spinning like back heel? Oh, should I?" Something.
His first two
something
touches
was in
were
his
great.
head
His third one
distracting
was
him.
shit.
Because it was a tap in, and then all of a sudden he's like, "Oh, the cameras," and now you look like a fool on camera.
Yeah, no,
Sorry, you guys. I told you you gotta cut.
No,
me off.
I'll jump in there and I'll stop you. I'll stop
Okay.
you if I have to. But we got a good point to stop there. But you did give. We can leave. We can start getting into the players a little bit more besides the two that I brought up, because Eddie is a good one to talk about.
What's up, John C? What's up, BX Gunner? By the way.
Yes, we got some
Just
more
noticed
people.
we
We saw Ray.
Paul's Manson in the chat box as well.
Yeah.
That's Director John.
Ray did drop in to say hello. I think he's he's taking a break, but he said I'll watch it later on. So Ray, thanks. Hope you're enjoying yourself with the family, and we'll talk to you next time. All right, everyone. So let's get into it. So we talked a little bit about the game, and we talked about some of the players. Like I said, I did bring up Martinelli and Pepe for me as things that I wanted to see, but also I think Eddie starting over Balogun is was a question that Stan actually brought up. And then Eddie, let's just talk about him. And what were your thoughts? I guess Tony. I guess I don't want to skip over Tony because I think I might have missed him on the last one. So Tony, we'll start with you. In terms of let's start talking about Eddie.
We didn't really talk about Pepe though, did we? We just glossed Pepe.
No.
I talked about him, but you guys didn't
he didn't even pop in my mind because I didn't even remember that he played.
Yeah,
to be honest.
No, I wanted Pepe and Martinelli to get a game.
Played as much as I did.
Yeah, but I wanted them also to, like I said, show me why. Why should they get first team football?
Exactly.
Right. That's what I wanted to see. So Tony, Pepe and Martinelli. Let's go start with that.
Yeah, both of them to me were disappointing. They should be out there wanting to improve. They should be getting Premier League starts. Instead, they kind of came out, stumbled, especially Pepe. He was invisible for the full 90 minutes for me. And Eddie was trying, still not good enough. But beats what we were seeing from Martinelli, he was really disappointed.
He was the most disappointing. Martinelli was the most. Tony.
No, Pepe was.
Oh, okay, good. Good. I was like, come on. I mean, Martinelli, yes, I was not pleased with Mr. Glass or This fucking Brazilian nonsense needs to stop. The dude was on the ground every 2 seconds and then he was up again. And I'm like, You got a cannon on your crest. Have a little más fuerte. Oh, he doesn't speak Spanish. He's
No, like I said, I
Brazilian.
watched the match, but
pissing
I
me
don't
off.
feel like I saw much from them to talk about. Stan, what do you have to say about Martinelli and Pepe?
Well, I spoke about Martinelli, but for me with Pepe, I don't know what it is about him, but he's in his third season now at Arsenal, and he's coming up for 27 years old. So why is it I still have this image, this thought that he's like 22 years old, 23 years old, and he's only been with us since the last transfer window? He has that aura around him. Do you know what I mean? Like he's a young lad and he's only been with us for like 6 months or so, and he's still settling in and acclimatizing. But that's not the case, you know. He should be at, they say the age that he is now, he's now coming into his peak years, but it still feels like there's some developing that needs to be done there.
Because he makes schoolboy mistakes. All the mistakes that he makes are young player mistakes. So he keeps fooling us into thinking that he's younger.
It's when I look at Pepe, you can see all the little bits of his game of what he's got because he shows it to us. We know that he's got a good shot on him because he can score a goal. We know that he can also do stuff from a dead ball situation as well. We know that he can beat a man, but there are so many times where he looks like he has problems putting it all together in one package, doing the whole thing as one. Do you know what I mean? He does bits of it at a time. He doesn't seem to put the whole package together. So I'm at this stage for me with Pepe where, by the time we get to the end of this season, if it's kind of the same, I think maybe we should be looking at trying to, and I'm going to use the word upgrade on him. Upgrade. What I mean by that is if it's going to be the same by the end of the season, we should be looking at having someone who can have a better output and produce more for the position that he plays in our side. And it's unfortunate because I really want him to do well because I can see that I can see it's in there, right? I can see it in there. I've seen all the little bits that he can do, but as I said, he don't put it together as a whole package most of the time.
Well, for me,
just one thing before I let you go there. I was watching the Ars Bros today, and one thing that Max brought up that I think Ryan had mentioned to him is the 80-20 rule. And basically what he meant by that is Pepe is a player that gives you, is a 80-20 player. For 80% of the time, you get nothing from him. But that 20% is quality when you finally do see it, because he usually puts either the ball in a good spot or he scores or he assists really easy, something like that. And that's kind of what you saw, I think, in the Crystal Palace match, right? For about 80% of that match, where was Pepe? But in that first 10 minutes and the last 5 minutes, he was around the ball when we scored, right? And I don't even know if we got that in the last match. I guess we got it in the last match because he did put the header in when Chambers came on. And, the 80-20 rule also is applicable in this case, and you guys can tell me what you think about this, also to Saka. Saka gives you the 80% that Arteta is looking for, but the 20%, which is the scoring and the assists sometimes, is just lacking there, and that's because of his youth. So the potential is that he'll get there, but he gives you all that 80%, so he's on the pitch, and that's why I always say, like, the presence is there from some of the younger players because they're on the pitch. They just haven't finished the 20. They're still about 20% before they're completely done, with their fine tuning per se, and that's what you get there, and that's kind of the Pepe. If you think about it, he just disappears in matches, and you're like, why? Or he gets the ball and he doesn't do anything with it for a large percentage of the time, and that's something that I was like, okay, that sounds interesting. I can go with that. I know, Lolo, you wanted to talk about, I guess if it's Pepe, no?
Oh, yeah.
That's where
I
we
was
were when
lost
you-
in what you were saying now. I
Okay.
completely forgot. But my big thing for Pepe is I've always thought for Arteta, it's either like he's starting or he doesn't play at all. And for me, I think with the pace, the speed that Pepe has, bringing him on as a sort of impact sub, as a okay, you know what? There's 15 minutes left. There's 20 minutes left. Pepe, do not stop running for 15 minutes. Go and just run at them. It's something I always say about Adama Traore. That dude doesn't need to start matches. You bring him on with 30 minutes left, 20 minutes left, when there's weary legs and you see this NFL linebacker running at you with better feet than you, like holding the ball. Like, you're exhausted at that point and he can run through you. So Pepe, to me, would always, it was like back when who was it? Emery, maybe, when Aubameyang wasn't getting the starts, but he was coming on at like the 70th minute and scoring a goal nearly every time. You guys remember that a few years back? And I was like, look, that's fine with me. Aubameyang's getting up there in years, but he's super fast for 20 minutes. And he can finish if you give him 10 chances in those 20 minutes. And that's usually what matches kind of come down to. So for me, like, bring on the pace. But Arteta is I think the worst thing about Arteta, besides all the other terrible things, is his sub timing. When he time subs, the amount of time he gives certain players versus other players, and it kind of, that annoys me. So I think using certain players as, like, not subbing because, oh, this isn't working, but going like, I've jab. Now it's time for a left hook. This is a perfectly timed sub. Like, he's going to take credit for Chambers' goal. I knew it. Es que I was putting him there in the right time.
Well, he did put the header in. And like I said, you look at our goals over the last number of games we've had, he's been in and around the ball. He's had a touch on it in part of the build-up. So I'm going to say, that's what we want. We just need to see it. We need. Yeah. I want him to come off early off the pitch because he's been working so hard. But he seems to want 90 minutes, even though he doesn't give me 90 minutes of effort. So let me go to Tony on I guess Pepe. Any thoughts you have on Pepe in terms of what you saw or what you didn't see?
Yeah, for 70, 80 minutes, he's not there. But when he does come in for that 10, 20 minutes, it's really good stuff. That's why he should be coming on as an impact sub instead of starting, because, I don't know, he doesn't want to hold on to a starting job. He should be able to give us 10 plus goals, 10 plus assists in the league, but he doesn't want to seem to put in the effort to do so.
It looks like it. It definitely looks like it, and I don't know. I mean, I don't know if Arteta is the manager to get him there. I don't think he's the manager to get him there because he definitely has a player with some skills in him, and he's not able to get him to, at least if he came in and gave us what we saw in the pockets of time that he spent, he would, like you said, he'd be an impact sub, or he would just play himself to death basically in like 50, 60 minutes and have to come out. But we don't see that. All right,
but he would, if he was at a club like Crystal Palace or even like Aston Villa, Everton, where he would play every day out on the wing, and he knew he was a start, like he's a lock starter, I think his mentality changes and he can actually focus on things. But this is a problem with a lot of people, like people saying Jadon Sancho has been shit, and I'm like, it's difficult when you don't know when you're going to get your next shot. You can score 2 goals and then be benched the next game. Like, it's frustrating because I feel like the problem with him is Arsenal, is that we're not the right club for him. When he first came, he wasn't an immediate starter. So, like, why he hasn't got a run of games to become a starter? Like, I don't know. I feel like he could be really good with another club if he just played all the time, bottom line.
Yeah, and Arsenal's not, we don't, at least the way that Arteta is using him, he's able to get the best out of him. So let's move. Let's we can
So,
talk about.
I think the
Go
fact
ahead.
that 3 seasons in that we're having this conversation about Pepe and the way that he's
That's where
warned the fan base, I think it kind of tells you all you need to know. Do you know what I mean? That we're having this conversation and that not everybody's convinced. Perhaps if we get to the end of the season, as I say, and there hasn't been a marked improvement, then you can't say that he's had time to shine. I think. He might not have had runs of games, but he definitely had time to shine. He's had time to.
He has.
You know what? Sometimes you just have to believe what you see. And I think he's shown us, like you said, Stan, time and time again, this is the kind of player he's going to be. And whether Arteta can see that being part of the team he wants, I guess we'll find out here. I mean, if you think about it, Lacazette and Eddie and Nketiah actually, for the time that they spend on the pitch, have actually delivered. Regardless of whether it's in Eddie's case, I feel it doesn't really answer the questions for me whether we keep him or not. But he always seems to bring something. He's what is he? He's in 5 cup matches. In 6 cup matches, he scored 5 times, right? But he's not going to play enough because we're not going to see consistency from him. Whereas Lacazette, we know every time he comes on the pitch, and he doesn't play all the time. And that's so for me. If you have those issues with some of your younger players, then what is Lacazette actually talking to him? Because they're sitting on the bench together sometimes, right? And Lacazette comes in ready to go, right? And this is what we want. Mm-hmm. We want some of that. We talk about Lacazette being that mentor for the players, right?
Yeah.
And if Pepe is sitting with him on the bench or near him or whatever, that would be the case for this is what you're going to have to do when you get in the match, And I don't know if those discussions are happening because it doesn't seem to click, at least to me.
No,
but I don't know if you guys that's my say on that one. But if you guys want to talk about Eddie, who wants to talk about Eddie first?
I can go quick on Eddie. Promise.
You can go quick.
Yeah.
Should I set a timer?
You can't.
You can if you want. But when you see my hands start moving and my face goes off this, I'm not. I'm gone. You need to mute me. No. Eddie. I feel like most of Eddie's goals are poached off of the keeper or off of he's so good about that burst of pace, and then his feet are like daggers, like swords that can just poke the ball, and he knows if he just gets a poke. He got a red card like that one day a year back or a year or two ago, if you guys remember it, at the halfway part, because if he didn't touch the guy, he would have stolen the ball and it was a goal. So, but he happened to touch him, and then red card. Anyway, I would play Eddie Nketiah against any team who has a cock keeper. Like Man City, start fucking Eddie Nketiah up front because Ederson is a cock. He knows he's good. He knows he's so good. So he plays like a dickhead. He'll put the ball down and then be like, huh? No, I'm just lazy. I just smoked a joint before the game. No. And then he kicks the ball out. He's prone to those mistakes. So I'd put him in Aubameyang. Just your goal is to steal the ball from him. I don't care about what you do the rest of the game. Just do it. That's what I think Eddie Nketiah should be used for, and nothing else. Because I don't like him otherwise.
All right, who's next up?
Short enough. Eddie? That's short for Lolo.
That was pretty good. Thank you. Who's up next?
I'd have to agree with
and I got to laugh at a Tony, so that worked.
I agree with that point that Lola just made about Eddie in the box, and that does seem to be his game. Someone put a tweet out the other day about all of the goals that he scored. Total something like it's 5.5 feet from the goal line or whatever it is. It's like this radius, all of them. Do you know what I mean? As an overall player. Where I fall with Eddie is, I think for me as a fan, I've seen enough of him. I think I know what he can do, and I think I know what he can't do. So it does surprise me why, if we're going with Balogun, why he doesn't get those valuable minutes. I want to see what Balogun can do. We can't just keep hiding him and letting him play in the under-23s and scoring worldies down there. It's time that he has to play with the big boys at some point. And if I was Balogun and I've just signed a 5-year contract and they're not sending me out on loan, I would be thinking to myself, well, how is Eddie getting these valuable minutes? Because there's no European qualification games. That's all gone. So these Carabao Cup rounds, the minutes are valuable. Why isn't he not getting any of the sniffing? Maybe he could have started with Lacazette and then you go to Eddie, Balogun, or do it the other way around. Because I think Lola makes another good point about, if you are going to go with a team of youngsters, somebody like Lacazette is a good head to have around instead of having all 11 as youngsters. You know what I mean? You need somebody out there. That's a very good point as well. But I just don't, for me, I don't think Eddie's ever going to be the number 9 for Arsenal. I think he could probably make himself and carve out for himself a good living as a striker at another club. I don't think he's ever going to get more than 15 goals in the season. And I think for a club like Arsenal, for a starting number 9, you need more than that. Unless you're playing in some sort of a system where he's going to do a Bobby B. Firmino where he scores you 15 goals, but he's like assisting 20-25.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he's got that about his game.
That's not him.
So I'm glad that he got his goal. I will say that there's been a lot of people talking about, and especially the commentary that I watch here in Canada, they kept going on about how he almost fluffed it,
Yeah,
but he didn't. If a ball,
didn't.
If a ball comes in from a corner and it goes in off your arse cheek and it goes in behind the keeper, it goes down as a goal, right? You don't practice them; it happens sometimes. If you shin it and it goes in, you're going to take it. So I don't want to belittle Eddie by saying, oh well, he almost fluffed these lines, because I have to say that his first 2 touches were very good when the ball came over.
They're brilliant.
And that's when I saw that ball coming over. That's when I was like, oh, the ball's just gonna bounce off of him somewhere. But he brought it down and he controlled it, and it did go in. So fair play to him.
Yeah. I mean, imagine how good he would be. How much Leeds would love to have him, especially with Bamford hurt. Like having somebody at that pace. Right now, like they're lacking any goal scorer, and Eddie knows he does have a nose for goal.
You might be able to answer this because I know that you have a connection to Leeds with a lot of the guys that come on your channel. What was it about Eddie that when he went to Leeds, I know that at the beginning of his loan there, he if I remember rightly, he got a few games at the beginning and he was involved. What happened? Did he get injured and couldn't get his way back into the team, or what?
So Mr. Tom and Terry and Ben, who are in here, these are all Leeds fans. And they're just trolling me, which is awesome. But so if you guys are going to be here spying on us Arsenal people, tell us what happened with Nketiah. So type that in there. Get to typing, Mr. Tom. But if I remember correctly from what they said, I think he just never clicked with Bielsa. Like maybe he didn't work hard enough, or Bielsa just wasn't sold on him. I'm not sure. But
okay.
I think
did we not recall him a bit early? He didn't see out the full period of the loan. We brought him back, right?
Yeah.
And Arsenal very rarely do that. Even usually, we've had situations where we sent a player out on loan and then we've got really short in that position. I remember when it was when Callum Chambers went to Fulham, and we got really short in that area.
Yeah,
we didn't bring him back. Very rarely that we'll break that. So
yeah. I don't remember exactly, but nowadays I'm sure they would love to have him. They need anybody that can score a goal, and Eddie knows how to score goals.
Doesn't look like they were watching much, as you can see here. Ben said he was watching South Park, so he missed that whole season.
They were all probably playing FIFA together because we have a FIFA group, and they're all like, oh, we should be. If we had loaned Ronaldo, Bielsa still would have started Bamford. Yeah, it was like Bielsa's the only coach that would have benched Messi had he come over, because he doesn't work hard enough. He walks. So anyway,
yeah, and I think that's kind of what you're seeing with, at least with Nuno, right? At Spurs, I think he like plays that work. All of them work hard.
But he went to the wrong club for that. Got a bunch of slack ass Spurs.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's the Eddie talk. Like I said, there was a comment in here, and I think we might want to we'll hit that up as well about some other players that also I think people So I didn't, like I said, like Stan said earlier, and I think I agree with that. Is to me that match, not too many players for me stood out where I said, all right, they either I think a lot of them got a good run out there, just run and get sweaty and all that stuff, but whether or not they were able to work on whatever they needed to get into the squad on a regular basis, I'm not sure about that. Leno was probably the only one, and that's because he had to stop some shots, and that's what he does.
Yeah.
He does that pretty well, but I think people still weren't impressed with, he didn't command his box, he didn't communicate as well, but that's the things that we just expect, right? I think BX Gunner did have a question here about Lakanga, or Sambi, as he likes to be called, and Maitland-Niles. In the game, and I think I heard some people in either a chat or on a show actually say that Maitland-Niles looked like he actually had a good match. I don't know what you guys felt about these two players. I'll start with Tony here, and then we'll let the others talk.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of 8 ratings for A&M. I'm not sure if he was that good, but he did do a pretty good job in the game. I was impressed by him. Be nice to see him do that week in, week out. It's nice finally seeing him given a chance instead of sitting on the sideline. Last year we could have sold him for $25 million. Arteta said no, didn't play him, and sent him out on loan. Now he's coming off a bench, impact sub. I guess he's okay with that role.
Yeah, no, I still wish he just would just say, you know what, I'll be a right back, and then I'll definitely, then he would be playing. He'll be playing, and maybe he'll be better off for it, but he doesn't want to do that. So I guess I'll go Lolo.
Would he play now, though?
Not now, but he had a chance.
He
had a chance. He had a chance for a while, I think, and he defensively he's fine. Going forward as a right back, nowhere close to what they want, but definitely as a defender, I felt he played that pretty well, especially if we kind of rotate anyways, right? The 3 at the back when we attack sometimes. So that would be fine with me. It always felt like Tierney always was the only one that would take the ball forward. And, it was actually fine that happened. And, if you did decide to rotate that way, it'd be okay. So I guess Lolo, what do you got to say? Anything you got to say on that, Sambi and Niles?
Yeah, I mean, I just don't want to forget this point. So remind me to come back to this point of being impressed with Ben White and Holding flying forward. I haven't seen our center backs fly forward ever or in forever. And that was great. So let's talk about that in a minute. But Ainsley Maitland-Niles is in the...
Huh?
Try to remember.
I did it. It's done, dude.
Mr. Tom, remind me.
Yeah, I did.
That's usually what I just say. I tell Mr. Tom to remind me. So Ainsley Maitland-Niles starts in what would be Sambi's role, right? That's where he started, in the sort of center defensive midfield role, right next to El Nene, it looks like. I like him in that position. I don't mind him in that position because he has had to play so much defense, as you were saying, like just be a right back. But he does like going forward. He's fast. He can handle the ball, and he likes to shoot. I wouldn't say he's that good at it, but he likes to, which is good. But I like his physique. I like having kind of a buff type dude there, because
small linebacker.
Yeah, or maybe a cornerback, like he's like, or a secondary type, but he feels solid there, and it feels like he could make a tackle, and one of the tackles where you let them know, like, no, you're not gonna do that shit, and you take the yellow card, that sort of tackle. But also he likes to go forward. So I think having him in a left back or a right back position, I would like him more central, I guess, is the bottom line. So I did enjoy his position, where he was positioned for the Leeds match, and I thought he did a very good job. He did his job. and that's it. And there were times where I saw him pressing forward and was like, "Who is that? Like, wait a minute, who has the ball right now? Who is this?" And then going, "Oh shit, that's Ainsley." So, but like Tony was saying, we paid for him. We didn't let him leave. He's got to be a part of the show somehow. Like, otherwise, that's a total dick move.
Yeah, no, I always go back to the Wolves match where he came in to when Adore came in, or Adore started getting the best of Tierney, and he basically shut him down. He shut him down.
He was
and
excellent.
And I just look at, that's when I look at that. And I figure if I'm a manager and I'm looking at my player and I need to find that signature game that he comes in and he does something special for me, that was it. And that's why I'm like, you know what? If you can do that, because Tierney wasn't having any fun that day. All right. He comes in, Adore basically disappears in the match, and we were able to, I think we got all 3 points in that match, or else we would have been in trouble. But that's when I'm like, you know what? That's what you want. Isn't that what you want out of your players when they come on and and they have problems? So Stan, I don't know if you've got. Did I get to you? I haven't got to you yet on this one, right?
For me, the easiest way to kind of talk for me about Ainsley Maitland-Niles, the way that when I talk about there's like the way that I talk about El Neni, right? And people look at me with a confused face, and they look at me and they're like, I don't get it. That's how I feel about those people who mainly talk about Ainsley Maitland-Niles. I do the same thing. I screw up my face and I look at them and I go, I don't get it. I just don't think he has a place in the team. He had a chance at playing a position that he didn't want to play in. I think if you're gonna, I would choose El Neni ahead of him for a place in the squad if you're looking for someone to fill in. The sooner he moves on, the better. I think he's suited to like a West Bromwich Albion kind of a team, and that's it. It doesn't really do that much for me at all. Not the sort of player that I would fight over to keep. If he wants to go somewhere, then get best of luck, mate. Thanks, and I'll see you later. Sambi Lokonga, for me, I think what needs to be worked on with him is I think his positioning. He's really positioning. He's unaware. He gets in so many wrong positions. And I don't know what it's like in Belgium, but he needs to cut out doing these raking passes all of the time as his first go-to. First go-to is like this huge raking pass, and it's good when it comes off, but that shouldn't be his first go-to. Sometimes I think he should be able to keep it a little bit more simpler, but I'm being harsh because there's a lot of potential there, and I think he was a good buy. And the more minutes, as I say, the more minutes he gets, the more you learn. You don't learn by not being in the team. There's only so much you can learn from being on the bench. So I know somebody asked in the chat box earlier about who they thought would be a good partner for Partey moving forward. And I just think that there may be players that you might think are better than him now, but if he's the future, then he needs to get the minutes. He needs to get in there and understand the guy that he's going to be the partner with. And that means that there's going to be bumps in the road. And when people look at the Aston Villa game, and I saw a lot of people sort of tweeting about, why can't we do this every week? How come we can't do this every week? It's quite simple. The path that we are going down means that the profile of a lot of our players are quite young. Not only that, we'd almost put 6 players at the same time into the first team. That's almost like half the first team has just changed. And you also, if you look back when people talk about football and transfer windows, they always say you can't just go in and return the whole team. We've done it with half, which is quite a big thing. And we've gone for a younger profile. And I just think that young profile equals inconsistencies. These players are not quite ready yet to churn out maybe what we did at Villa every single week yet. There were going to be games that we should be winning, and they're going to have a bad day because that's what happens with young players. And then if you put that together with a manager that's having his first rodeo as well, do you know what I mean? We haven't even got an experienced manager in there. He's still learning as well. I'm not saying that as a slight to anybody. I'm just saying that when you've got these two things together, it's bound to cause inconsistencies. However, we're still on an unbeaten run. We've had some scruffy games. The games have been scruffy, but we're still on an unbeaten run. So I'm feeling, I don't know how I've got into this feeling positive about Arteta speak, but I am at the minute. I kind of am, because I can see progress. But the point I was trying to make originally is that this young profile is going to be inconsistencies.
No, for sure. And you know what? When you go on an unbeaten run, you're gonna get lucky, and I think we did. I think we got lucky sometimes, and that's gonna happen. I don't think everybody, on our bad days, we are still getting points, right? So we're gonna take that because we know what it feels like on the other end when you're not having a good day and you lose poorly. You lose for some silly reason. So I think we'll take that right now. Don't know if anybody else has any more comments on this. Who's going to partner with Partey if they're waiting until January when our past leader returns, or if somebody else can take the mantle. Like, did you say anything?
No, I gotta say,
Don't mention Zacos, Gary.
No, I like Sambi. I think he will be fantastic, and I think you're absolutely right, Stan, that there are bound to be growing pains, and especially looking at a guy like Ben White as well. And Gabriel, who is very young, and yes, he's been with us for a year, but he didn't play the whole time, and then he didn't play right away. Good night, Ben. So they're still saying, like, Gabriel's English is just now getting good enough where his communication is finally getting to where it should be. Ramsdale, new to the team, like all these guys. And you can tell to me, the big thing that has changed with Arsenal is the one thing that's lacking, maybe not one thing, but at Man United, and that's heart. Is right now I've been pleasantly surprised to see that there's some heart and there's some fight in the team. And it seems like it feels like they're at a summer camp together. And they all kind of came in as, I'm the tough guy, I'm the young guy, I'm the hip, cool guy. And now they're starting to go, look, guys, we're making each other better. And so I think I still believe if this is going to work, we're going to pick up the majority of our points at the end of the season, towards the end of the season, as the season progresses. Like, we're lucky to have been going on a 6 games unbeaten. Some of those were absolute luck, but I'm expecting us to get better and better and better and more solid in the back. If we can keep a healthy Gabriel, Ben White, Partey, and Lokonga, and Ramsdale, those 5, that central core, we can keep some clean sheets, man. And Aubameyang, that will only make teams attack us more, which only creates more space for Pepe, Saka, Smith Rowe, Aubameyang. So, but it's going to take learning. So I agree with you 100% on that, Stan.
Yeah, I was just looking at the schedule, and you're right. Basically, you can just bookend the Liverpool matches as being everything that's in between. That is kind of the danger zone, or the when we'll probably be pulling our hair out, because we just have some tough matches in between.
That's over December, January, right?
Yeah,
where we're always terrible.
It's late November and then February.
AFCON as well. Dreaded AFCON comes up where we lose players.
Yeah, and you know what? That is actually not as bad, because I'm not going to count City. We have City, Chelsea, and Liverpool in those games, and I don't know if returning back Partey is going to make a difference. And
no, we got Nketiah for City. Don't worry, Nketiah for a hat trick. If Nketiah starts a hat trick against City,
no, but like I said, that Liverpool to Liverpool time period is going to be really tough for us, because we have some games that we should win, definitely, and we have some games where we're probably going to be outmatched. All right, and definitely if AFCON does come about, and we're going to be missing, 2 or 3 of our core players that we need. But that last set of matches, any of the big games, we're home, right? So, like, I think that's what, from match 28, so 11 matches, basically, where we play all of the tough matches at home. Leicester City at home, United at home, I guess West Ham away is going to be that might be a tough one at that point. But we'll see how West Ham is doing after a long season, right, of playing in Europe if they make it that far, make it deep into. Yeah, but I think
They just beat City. They're still in another cup too.
Yeah,
they beat them in the Pep Cup.
So they'll be busy. So so definitely. So that was our discussion on the on at least the partners for Partey. I know you wanted to. I don't know if anybody, Tony, you had anything else you wanted to say on
Calvin
on a
Phillips.
partner for
I'm good.
Yeah. You were
Declan
talking
Rice.
about Ben and Holding, Benjamin and Holding, basically taking the ball up the middle. I think is that what you were?
Yeah. Wasn't that awesome? Didn't you enjoy that? I mean, Ben White was known for doing that with Leeds United. Ben White would just and you saw Leeds were like shocked by it because they were giving Holding so much space where he's going like, wait, nobody's gonna take this ball from me, and he just kept going and going and going, and that was great. And I don't see us doing that. Maybe because Gabriel doesn't move that fast.
Yeah, I don't like it when Gabriel comes up.
No,
because he does not fare. He doesn't have. He's fearless. So he'll just take it into dangerous areas and then turn the ball over, and then we're like, oh my god, now he has to get back.
and you see him,
and I'm like, oh my gosh,
he's a big dude.
Yeah,
he's a big
He usually makes it back there somehow, though.
He does make it back, but I'm just like, you know what? Just if it's not there, you can pass it off and get back to your spot, kind of thing. So.
It's even when Partey goes forward, I'm like, no, dude, no, we've got enough. There's enough guys up there. Stop it. And then he kicks a field goal, and you're like,
yeah. I mean, I don't know. So you see, when we're talking about, because I saw a comment in there about Sambi and
oh
Partey,
my god, it's Benjamin, not
do any
Ben.
of them?
Excuse
I mean,
me.
and if both of them play, are we okay? Do we not need a CDM?
Who?
A
Come
CDM if we play Partey and Sambi? Because none of them are CDMs, and I know people had comments on that. Like, do we need a defensive midfielder there so we can allow them to move up?
Look, Sambi Lokonga, he says that his preferred position is a 6, which I call a 4, which is what you would say as a CDM. Partey says that his preferred position is an 8, more getting into a box-to-box. So there shouldn't be a problem there. But sometimes it looks like when they play together, they're playing the opposite role. It looks to me sometimes that Thomas Partey is playing as a 6, and Lokonga is playing as the 8. That's just what I see sometimes. But I mean, I think, was it that Edu said about Lokonga? He said that his role was that if either Xhaka or Partey can't play for whatever reason, he is the next man. So what does that mean? I mean, would you say that Partey and Xhaka have a similar position? Because neither of them are defensive, right? Well, you would call a stone cold CDM, if you know what I mean. No. Yeah, they are deep lying players.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Sometimes I think we can get caught up into it a little bit with the CDM. But for me, we've got two if we want to go down that road, and this is just my opinion, the two CDMs that we have at the club are Sambi Lokonga and Elneny.
Yeah.
A lot of the others are just deep lying midfielders, but are more box to box. And they can put a tackle in if required. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I really don't mind the Partey.
And just one last thing there. The one that we did have that I wish we still had kept around, Lucas Torreira. Yeah. I thought he would have been a great partner next to Partey. I would have loved to have seen that because Simeone, didn't he want that in his midfield? He wanted Torreira to partner Partey, and then we went over there in the middle of the night to the La Liga offices and paid the 50 million bounty and just took him back. So I would have loved to have seen that, play out. Sorry, Lila, I didn't mean to jump in there.
No, that's I mean to go off of you saying that sometimes it feels like it's Partey that's back and it's Sambi who's forward. I kind of enjoy that and I enjoy that freedom as long as it's working, as long as somebody's kind of hanging back. Yeah. And I do like kind of like Partey in the number 4 position, but more the number 4, like Brett Favre, number 4, where he can pick a pass like boom, and to a flying Pepe or Saka or somebody up the wings, because he's got that in him, and he can drop some passes, cross-field passes. So I kind of prefer him back. I was just saying how I don't really like seeing him with the ball at the edge of the box, because I'm like, no, he's gonna shoot. He's gonna shoot. Don't do it. We have so many other guys who can score. But I guess you're saying he's more of an attacking player. I know he scored goals at Madrid, but
yeah, no, I am those two players, and I guess I haven't looked closely at them to see kind of see that they switch around, but like you said, Lolo, and I think Stan, when Pepe makes those long passes, I'm like, all right, that's what we like. I don't think I've seen some of that from Sambi, but I don't think of him as a CDM, because I look at Basuma and I'm like, you know what? Basuma is a CDM because he's going to put down those tackles. He's gonna like you said, he's going to be that football there, right there, in the middle of the pitch, just holding it down in front of the back line, right? We don't necessarily have that. We don't expect him to do that either, right? And that's kind of, I think, why I guess Xhaka to some degree kind of fits in, because he helps that situation a little bit better. But if we did play those two players, I don't, would we be vulnerable, especially in a midfield that might try to take over and control that middle from us. So that would be kind of the issue for me there. I don't know, Tony, if you have any comments on that, on that middle of the pitch in terms of Sambi and Partey.
To me, it'd definitely be Sambi and Partey. You can live with the growing pains of Sambi for me. Xhaka just slows down the tempo, does the back passes, does everything you don't want to see the team doing. Doesn't let us spread the ball down the middle like Sambi does, especially when he wants to carry it forward a little bit. But he should definitely be playing the 6, like Stan said. He should be playing the central defensive midfielder. I don't know why Arteta keeps insisting on doing it with Partey, because he didn't do that at Madrid. That's not really his style. He wants to be playing box to box like Rambo. It's where he needs to be, but I'm not the manager.
Yeah. No, I mean, I do like them, and I do like what they offer, and I know that when they come on, they're going to give us something. Sometimes, and Lakanga is still young, so he will give us some of those blips that would go, oh, but then he will give us a lot more, which is he'll redeem himself, which is what I like to see as well.
And if Lakanga's going to be learning his trade off anybody in the midfield, I'd rather he be learning it off of Thomas Partey than Granit Xhaka.
I always go back to Guendouzi playing with Xhaka, and I'm like, it's not going to work out, and it never did, and it just
especially if David Luiz behind him as well.
Yeah, well, you know what, for all the people that they hate on Luiz, I actually like him, because if Xhaka is what Arteta wants, then I have no problem with Luiz, because then what, if he likes Xhaka, then Luiz is for me better, because I think he mentors. He actually can do his job pretty well on a good day, but he will give you those blips when you're like, damn it, But then you kind of have to take the good with the bad with him, And I think he's older, so I think also we played him too much. Similar to William, we played him too much. We didn't want William to play that much, and I don't think we wanted Luiz to play that much either. But we had no choice, I think, at one point. So, but he did. I think the reason why Gabriel is the way he is because of that time he spent. And I don't know what other player we've had who's actually been able to play alongside or with a player that's kind of helped him along the way, like I believe Luiz did for Gabriel. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Yeah. I don't know if so. Now we've been about an hour now. Do we want to continue to talk about Leeds, or there's a lot of other things we can talk about, especially the Leicester City match coming up? Anybody have anything in last words on the Leeds match? We move on, right? We'll find out. And I think I was just looking at the list here of all the 8 teams that made it: West Ham, Leicester City, the Spurs, us, of course, Sunderland, Brentford, Liverpool, and Chelsea. City
give
getting
us
knocked out.
Spurs.
City getting knocked out, and I was looking at the football London site, and they're thinking that we would play the Spurs on the road. That's kind of their what they kind of their I guess their
Bring
guess.
it on. They're
So-
garbage.
So,
But
and
also,
they had
Just speaking of West Ham, I was just reading yesterday that they're going to be increasing their stadium to 62,000.
yeah.
So it looks like a lot of things are happening with West Ham, and that will make them the second largest stadium.
Yep. Over us.
Yeah. But who would I like to get? Oh, Sunderland, obviously.
I think Sunderland wants to play us because they don't want to play a big team until the later rounds. So
See, I fear a team like Sunderland more than I fear Tottenham, just because it's one that we might look past and then get fucked, or go to penalties or something. So I don't know.
but if we go strong enough, I don't think it shouldn't be an issue. And it will probably, and it's a quarterfinal, so more than likely we are going to play our strong team whenever we play that next match. So yeah. And I think I don't know if there's any drama, but I think the Soccer AM, they want to push the draw into that. So I know people are trying to figure out why.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it
we'll
looks
get
like
Leicester.
yeah, that's what somebody says here. Already thinking we'll get.
So
Leicester
good. Here's
City.
the warm-up match.
Yeah, so we get to test it out, and you know what? Yeah. All right.
I was just looking at before we came on at Leicester's results for this season, and in the league, I think they've only had one clean sheet.
And not only that, they
that
give
was
up 2 goals. I think it's like 6 matches that they've given up 2 goals, and they just gave up 2 goals to Brighton for the second time. But in the Carabao Cup, they gave up 2 goals and they went to penalties.
No. I was surprised at
So
that.
they're
when I look back,
leaking.
that they'd hardly had any clean sheets. I think their other clean sheet was against Millwall in the cup.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it right now. Yeah, you're right. Millwall, and they lost that one match to Legia, Kawawas, whatever. So yeah, so
how good that they look, and they have been looking quite good, and Vardy always nicks a goal. Tielemans is really sort of like showing what he's going to be. They've got some good players in there. They can be got at because they don't keep clean sheets by the look of it, which surprised me.
Yep.
Yeah, and they've given up more goals than us, I believe. Right, so as bad as our defense seemed to be, and we've played some tough teams. Right, we played at least 2 tough teams already, giving up 8 goals to them. So.
Yeah. And I think Vardy might be out as well, which is always going to be a blessing because Vardy's is the fucking goal machine.
He always scores against us. Yeah. Always. Even when he was benched and he came on with like 2 minutes left, he fucking scored against us.
Yeah.
He was so mad because I took him out of my fantasy team because I saw he was benched. And then anyway.
This comes across, I said it on a pod the other day, it just comes across as a natural. It comes across as a sort of guy that is at home drinking these like Alka Pops, smoking fags, and he goes on and play again, can get 2 goals without breaking the sweat, and then go back to drinking alcohol.
They're like, how do you do it, Jamie?
Yeah, good player.
Yeah, well, I mean, they do have Paxton Daka as well, so they're not.
Yeah, he's
they're not. They're not missing for talent, even if Vardy doesn't play.
So we were discussing this earlier today on our weekend watch list because this is one of our. Mark picked it for his weekend watch list. And the thing that Mark was saying about it was you just need to stick someone on Tielemans anytime he gets towards the box, because Tielemans, the reason he has so many incredible looking goals is because he shoots from freaking anywhere. And they're curlers and they're like weird things. So somebody just needs to be on him. Just close him down every time he touches the ball anywhere in space. I feel like he can be one of their most dangerous, even though it's not like he scores every match. He shoots, and he's not afraid to try and curl it around 3 guys. So stick him, and then we'll get our goals. We will get our opportunities. So that's it for me.
No, definitely. I mean, and one way to do that is to put a little pressure on them, right?
Yep.
So he has to play a little bit more defense than
Yep.
offense. So that would be the other part to that. I don't know what this is. What's his skill? Yeah. And was this one? Yep. There we go. So Vardy will just keep playing and playing and playing.
The
Yeah.
year is 2098, and Jamie Vardy has scored his 18th goal of the season.
Yeah. Now, so yeah, it will be a tough match for us, I believe, and that I think I like to say we play up to our competition. So knowing that this is going to be a tough match, like we thought the Villa match would be, hopefully we'll come out and play the same way we did against Villa, with some the same kind of energy that we played there. So that'd be really nice. Let's see here. It's going through the comments. I might my prediction right now is a 1-1 because I just think it's going to be a tough one, and they do give up a goal, so we should be able to get at least one goal. Hopefully, we can get two and steal it. But
I'm going with 2-1. 2-1
Yeah.
Arsenal. I think they do get a goal. They break through, but we get two. They've been giving up two left and right every freaking match, even to the scum, even to Man United.
It's our turn.
It's our turn. Bring it on.
Yeah, I think they assembled. I don't know if Maitland-Niles plays in this one. If we stick to our guns and try to at least keep that same 11 that we used the last time. But you know what? I think that if we are able to get a lead and we bring Maitland on, I know he can close. He can maybe shut things down for certain players. So.
Can I just say as well, with Yuri Tielemans, he's one of those players that when I play FIFA, I don't play Ultimate Team. I play career mode, my own little world, my own little career mode. And I'm one of those guys that when the new FIFA's coming out, I like to go online and look for people put out lists of wonder kids that you should look for, cheap wonder kids that they think is going to be a prospect. And going back to maybe FIFA 17 or 18. Yuri Tielemans was one of those players that popped up in the list and that I always used to get put out on loan and use. So when you see it happen in the real world and you see him move into the Premier League and you think, oh yeah, there's that kid that I used to, and you see him smashing goals in, it always puts a smile on my face. It's like one of my children has.
Oh my God, I remember when.
That kid.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So I'm pleased. I'm pleased that he's doing really well because I feel like I kind of know him. Sort of thing. It's weird.
Oh, I hope he doesn't have a good match. That's what I'm going to say.
A bad one on the weekend. But he's definitely a player that we need to watch. And Iheanacho is a player that I don't really fear that much. Yeah. So I don't know what they're going to do up front without Vardy, whether he'll be playing on his own or that they'll put somebody else up there with him or even instead of. But funny enough, Iheanacho was another one that I had on FIFA years ago, was one of them undiscovered, and he's never really, he was all right on FIFA for me, but he hasn't really done it in real life. So I don't really fear him that much. He can get a goal of late, a couple, but I think that we can get something out of this game.
He's one of a few that's disappointed Stan.
I think we can get something out of this game. Looking back now and seeing that they have a trouble keeping clean sheets, I think that gives me a lot of confidence.
Yeah, well, we should, and then hopefully the team thinks that way as well. They know that there's a goal in there, so if they just keep, don't let the game get away from them, they'll be fine. All right. I know a lot of people are once again concerned that we're playing in the first match of the weekend. I guess it's 12:30, and that's too early. And it is away.
On Saturday or Sunday?
Saturday morning. Saturday morning.
Come on, it's first match of the week. It's prime time. Nobody else is playing.
Yeah, 4:30 for you, Stan.
I thought it was 4:30 kickoff here. So, yeah,
it is. It is 4:30. It just happens to be in the.
Right.
Yeah.
We're only at 4 for you.
I won't be getting out of bed for that. I don't think. It ruins my whole day. I can't get up, watch the football and then go back to bed because I'm kind of like awake and I'm watching the next game that's going to be on. But then for the rest of the afternoon and day, I'm groggy, and Mrs. Stan doesn't like it because I'm no good to nobody.
Yeah,
There's
see,
no kebab for Stan.
Yeah, my wife loves Saturday morning football because my daughter wakes up at 7 and my wife just hits me and I go, yeah, football. And I get up and I go make my coffee and I'm ready. She gets like 30 minutes of Paw Patrol or something. And then I'm like, okay, it's football time. She's like, okay, is West Ham playing? No. But yeah, 7:30 a.m. is perfect time. I get a lot of football and then I can still go out for the day. And so sorry, Stan, to rub it in, but
I just want to ask as well, because I forget where everybody's from in the chat box. Just put in the chat box what time you have to get up to watch the game on Saturday. I'm just interested to see what BX Gunner. It's got 7:30. I wish I could get up at 7:30. That'd be a normal day, but 4:30. I'm not doing it.
I get up 7. I still have time to place my bets.
And how'd you get on?
Yeah.
You win?
I just play like the FanDuel. I play like $1 things. So I've had a $10 credit for about like a year now. I go up and then back down. I get really low, but sometimes I play like the 5-cent games just because it makes me pay attention to other players. And I like that FanDuel. You don't only get points for goals and assists. Like if you get a key pass or a tackle. So even for tackle, so you can have somebody like Man City versus Brighton. You would pick a Man City defender over a Brighton defender over Man City because they're going to be doing more defending and they're going to get all these tackles and shit like that. So it makes you kind of pay attention to that. And there's like 5-cent games. So I play those. And every now and then I'm like, I won $3. Imagine if I would have actually bet like $100. I probably would have made a killing. But no, I don't. Gamble responsibly, as Mr. Tom says, who is a bookie, by the way.
Reddy's really close to the 40 minutes away. Leicester City. Nice.
Birmingham.
Right.
Birmingham.
Yeah. I mean, do we have any other thoughts on the match? I mean,
Are there any shouts for the lineup? Is there anything that we're expecting? I mean,
I have a weird feeling that Lacazette is going to start.
Well, if Aubameyang on the left,
I don't know about the rest. I'll ask my feelings, and we'll see.
Do you think so? You're not thinking of 4-4-2 then, Stan? Are you?
Sorry,
you're not thinking of 4-4-2 then?
I think Aubameyang definitely starts. Mm-hmm. I don't see Lacazette starting and Aubameyang not starting, but I could see them starting together.
Last time Lacazette was basically a 10.
I love Lacazette.
This is away from home, right? This is away, right?
Yeah.
So we might play it a little bit safe.
But I also think that he's feeling a little bit of pressure to play Lacazette, like. Because, he scored the winner or the tire. But fans are starting like, hey, come on. And so I feel like him not starting against Leeds means that he's starting versus Leicester to me.
How much loyalty, though, do you show a player that is not, I'm not going to say he's not committing to the club because it could be more of a side that the club's not committing to him.
Exactly.
I don't know what the details are. So
I think Lacazette's like, I will stay if you love me. If you actually love me, I won't leave you. But if you like it, then you should have put a ring on it.
He's definitely showing a good attitude for someone who could have one foot out of the door. And
absolutely.
I give him props for that. It could be quite easy for him to be coming on as a sub and just being like, I don't want to get my kit dirty. I can't be bothered. Missy shouldn't be washing my kit. I'm leaving. Do you know what I mean?
He comes on the pitch like a fucking jet engine, and he attacks it, and it enthuses everybody. It builds it. Everybody feeds off of it. So there you go. Riddy Sarkar says the same thing. I think both will start.
No, Lacazette is professional. to me, and that's what he's shown.
What up,
every time
Mark?
when he comes on the pitch,
So
right?
then, if you're gonna,
But-
so what does that mean then? Lacazette's going to start as the number 9. You're going to what? So then what? Ober's going to be on the left, Saka on the right, and then what? ESR in the middle, Odegaard on the bench.
Or
Yeah,
Lacazette in the
yeah.
middle.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think Abba, Laka, Saka, Emil Smith Rowe, Sambi, Partey are back 5. I mean, back 4 and Ramsdale. One on top of the other, and then let them roam. Let them press, because like you said, there's too many weird players on Leicester that can do weird things if you give them the chance to attack. So we need to press, and we need to go forward and make Tielemans and Daka and they have other players.
I mean, the other option would be to have like Laka on the bench, Ober starting through the middle, Pepe on the right, Saka on the left. But has Pepe done anything to show you that he needs to start? But I do. The thing is with Pepe though, right? Even though he might not have shown that he's done enough to start, I still look at where I think goals are going to come from in our team. You have to say that Pepe does have an involvement when there is a goal. Even if he's not scoring it directly and the ball's not leaving his foot to go into the back of the net, he is somehow involved in the build-up to the goals. So when he's not playing, I feel that we may be losing. We lose something. But then, as Rudy is saying, Odegaard, are we leaving Odegaard out? Okay, he might not have had the best game in his last one, but you don't drop players after one bad game, do you? Isn't that we don't have enough depth for that to say, oh, you had a bad game, therefore, I'm leaving you out. A player can have a bad game, go back into training, get revitalized, and be ready again, right? So, do you know what I mean? If you're the manager, are you making wholesale changes, or are you going to put out exactly the same team that went out against Villa?
Nope.
No, I think I'm hoping they stay the same, but I don't believe that Erdegaard has been good in the last 2 times that he's started a match, and then he went away on international break, and I don't recall hearing his name much. Even when Norway had some really good matches, he wasn't part of those discussions as being part of reasons why they were succeeding. And it could be either the pressure or just finally figuring out what this Premier League is all about. I don't believe he got a full experience of it the last time last season, and now he is. And that Brighton match, I believe, basically was maybe that punch in the gut. Like this is what you're gonna have to deal with. And we're not even the best teams in terms of that. So I kind of feel like, for me, he's not at Pepe level. He's a lot lower because I believe he's still younger, but he's starting. I believe he's figuring out how this thing might have to work, and he hasn't caught up to it yet. Because I do believe that Milswith Rowe, to some degree, is showing how you can play that position, and I don't think Erdegaard is the same type of player like that, where he understands that he's going to get knocked down a bit, and he's going to have to be a little cleaner with the ball and stuff like that. That's just me with Erdegaard and Milswith Rowe, and kind of always thought Erdegaard would be able to take a spot from him, but Arteta hasn't figured out a way to sit Milswith Rowe. Right? He hasn't figured out a way to do that. He's been able to sit him down, and take that spot from him. So
I don't want to see Aubameyang going back out to the left again. For me, I want him to either go with, if he's going to play with a formation that has one through the middle, I would prefer it to be either Aubameyang or Lacazette. Make your mind up. Choose one of what you think you're going to get out the best for that game to get a result. If you are going to play both of them, then I would prefer it to be in a formation where it's more of a 2 up front. I don't want to see Aubameyang going back out on the left, but that's just me.
No, you know what? I do believe he needs to be more central. So whatever they do, they need to make sure he's more central. And I know some, I forgot is it you, Tony? Or somebody was saying that it's not a 4-2-2, it's more of a 4-4-1-1 kind of thing.
Yeah, that's what we used to play.
Yeah. So whatever it is, they got those 2 players playing in front of the mid 4, right? So if that's what works, I think I would like to see it again. The one thing I don't, I'm a little, like you said, concerned about is the Lacazette having being a player that wants to play and is showing the professionalism of it, and then other players that know they're not going anywhere and not taking advantage of it and being able to take that, get that opportunity.
So if you're going to drop a player because they had a bad game, they had a day off, a bad day at the office, and you drop them, then on the same token, then you've got to start Eddie because he scored a goal. You can't, you know what I mean? If you're going to do it like that by game to game and be that micro, through the microscope, then you have to go both ways, right? You go, oh, you had a bad game, then I'm going to drop you for a game and bring this guy in. Oh, you had a great game in the last one. How can I drop you? Do you see what I mean? It doesn't work like that.
And I think if we stick to kind of either the Cup versus Premier League matches, then yeah, I would say yes. But you can't take whatever. I don't think whatever I saw in the Cup match any player gained any extra minutes if I'm the manager from that match. For me, the only person that could have was Leno, and he's not. He's not going to.
But guys,
not gonna happen.
like honestly, hold on. Like we're talking about it like Arteta usually does performance-based team choosing, because he doesn't. Like what are we talking about right now?
I'm talking about it more from a standpoint of what I see on Twitter, where I see how they react.
Yeah, where you're picking. Yeah, you're saying, Nketiah scored. He's in form. Let's start him.
The best example for me is Tomiyasu. When he first came, in the first couple of games, just in a couple of appearances, people were tweeting about him like he was Cafu reincarnated. Then he has a stinker of a game, and I saw people tweeting, maybe he's not, up to what we need. And I just think that sometimes you can't go from game to game, especially with a player that's just come to Arsenal from another league. You've got to give him a snapshot. You've got to give the guy at least 10 to 15 games before you've got any idea if you think this guy's solid enough to be a starter week in, week out. And I'm just trying to to play devil's advocate, right? In the way that it's like, something's had a bad game. Oh, drop him for the next one and bring that guy in who's been out in a cold and not played games for ages. And I was just saying, if you're going to do that, then if you're going to use that formula, then you have to start Eddie because he scored a goal. And reward him.
Yeah.
But punishing players for having a bad game, then you reward it. Do you know what I'm getting at? But it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that.
Absolutely. You're totally right. And Arteta, I think one of Arteta's biggest problems is he tries to win the game. He tries to win every match the night before. In his head, he comes up with something and he's like, oh, this is the plan. This will work. It's going to be perfect. And then he goes with it. And not until like the 75th minute does he start to go, this may not be working.
Maybe they did train, before the semi-final. Maybe the squad trained with a false nine, and that was part of it. But it did feel that the morning of the match, he walked in, ripped off what was on the training board that they'd been working on all week, pinned up a new thing, and said, "I've just come up with this last night before I went to bed. This is what we're going to do."
Exactly.
It had that.
I had a bottle of wine. I had a bottle of wine.
Time he's done that, Stan.
He's like, I called Eddie. I called Eddie, who was supposed to stay home today, but he's coming in. He's going to start up front. It's going to be great. Oh, my God. Yeah. But even, like I said, didn't Pepe scored 2 in a League Cup or FA Cup?
Under Emery.
Oh, that was under Emery. Where he scored 2?
I was just the one I was thinking about. I always remember the 2 where it was a rainy night. I can't remember who we were playing.
And we were losing.
Wassia Prague or somewhere like that.
Yeah, we were losing by 1.
He scored 2 goals. And I always remember the cameras going to Emery. And instead of we pulled it out of the bag, he looked like a man that it was just all over anyway. He had nothing left. And the rain was just pouring down on him. And he was just slumped in his seat. Instead of getting up and being like, we just pulled it back, he looked like he knew the game was up. I'll never forget that.
Yeah, that was rough. And those were 2 free kick goals, right?
Yeah, that's right. 2 set pieces,
2 set pieces, and we're like, okay, not Eddie, Pepe's here. He's arrived.
Exactly.
And then
Yeah.
we're like, well, what happened there?
So what are your predictions for the Leicester game then? What do you think?
2-1 Arsenal. 2-1 Arsenal. Aubameyang gets a goal. And I'm going to say Emil Smith-Rowe gets a goal.
What do you reckon, Ty?
Saka with both assists.
I think it's going to be 2-1. I think it's going to be 2 midfielders scoring for some reason.
I think it's going to be 2-1 as well. I don't know why, because I think Leicester will snatch a goal.
Yeah.
I don't know what you guys think in the chat box, but I think 2-1 is reasonable as well. Mark McKenzie says that we're high.
Yeah, but he didn't spell it right. He said you're high, like something you own. That's your high over there. So yeah,
3-1. 3-1 as well.
3-1.
No.
I always feel a bit more confident of having a clean sheet though with Ramsdale in there. I'm very pleased with Ramsdale, and I have to say that when we were first linked to him and the price, the fee that was being muted, I was very surprised.
Yeah.
And I was probably surprised because he'd never been on my radar. Do you know what I mean? I didn't know anything. I was like, who? Looking him up.
Yeah.
And I was like, and I have to say that I've been like that with a lot of players that we've bought. I never knew who Sambi Lokonga was.
No.
Before we were mentioned with him. I never knew who Tomiyasu was before we were mentioned with him.
Or Gabriel last year.
Gabriel, mega legs, didn't know anything about him.
Yeah.
Ben White.
I knew about Partey and I knew about Ben White.
I knew the name of Partey playing for Atletico.
Oh, and I knew Aubameyang. I like Dortmund, so I knew about Aubameyang. I was super excited about that.
The one that I did know about when we were linked with him and I was excited was Kieran Tierney, and the only reason is because I've got a lot of friends that support Celtic because I used to live in Edinburgh. I have Scottish background,
nice.
But the pub that I used to drink in here in Canada, where we used to watch the Arsenal games, we shared it with the Celtic supporters. So there were many times when we'd both be in there and the games would be on at the same time, and that's how I knew about Tierney and Edouard. But other than that, the ones that we have brought in, it's been I have no idea who these people were. A little bit like when Arsene Wenger came to us, right? When they announced Arsene Wenger, I was like, who? What? When?
Yeah.
Because we never had an internet back then, right? It was Oracle CFAX at the back of the newspaper. So we didn't know about I didn't even know Grand Passat was a football team. I was like, Grand Passat, what the fuck's that? And I just want to say as well, while people are, because I wanted to mention it, I found a good 4-part football documentary on Amazon Prime yesterday. I was just looking around trying to find something to spend some time on, and it's called Fever Pitch: The Rise of the Premier League, and it's a 4-part documentary. Each episode's an hour, and it goes through the how the Premier League got started. And it goes through, the rise of Newcastle, Man United with Alex Ferguson, a lot of the players behind it getting started, a lot of journalists, people like David Dean. And in the last episode, there's a lot about Arsenal. The last episode focuses on the rise of Arsenal and Arsene Wenger. So if you're looking for something to watch, I enjoyed it. It brought back a lot of memories from the old days as well.
Yeah, I saw your tweet about that.
So did you guys talk about Saka? I don't know. I know.
Didn't talk about Saka. We went through match predictions, possible lineups. Just when you left, I think most people were kind of going with a 2-1. We all kind of agreed on a 2-1.
2-1 was
3-1. What do you reckon, Gary?
See, I still have a 1-1 in my head just because I know we'll get a goal. I just think we're going to have a little bit of a dip.
That's scary.
But
be positive. Be positive like Ray.
No. I like I said, I'm going 1-1 still. I went 2-2 in the Villa match, I think. So I'm going to stick with my 1-1 here. I and that's more because of not, we'll see what Leicester we get, and are we sure we're sure Vardy isn't playing?
A couple
Is
of
that
people
for
talking
We
about
are not sure of that.
Saka being tired and that in the chat box and that, but he didn't play in the last game, and we're only playing really one game a week for the most of it. Surely he should be able to contribute a match a week, right?
Yeah.
They don't train every single day either. It's not like they train every single day when they're not playing. So,
And he's young.
He's young, but I mean, he should be able to play 90 minutes a week, right?
You're young. You have energy. Be my
yeah.
age and play a
Yeah.
game. Not a fucking chance, man.
I mean, I just think I think he did need to take a little. For me, I did want him to take a step away, and it's not rest for his energy. I think mentally, that's for me. Some of those times you just need to kind of like purge out all that stuff that's going through your head, and I think that's what I was hoping for him. So he didn't play like you said, so maybe he will. He got an extra day or two of rest because of that. So should be ready to go. We'll see what we get out of him. I mean, we see it all the time when he leaves to put on the England shirt. So, that's what we want to get here, right? We want to see that too. So we'll see about that. I hope that's what we see, but we never know. You guys have anything else you wanted to talk about? I mean, I do have some topics we can talk about here. So, all right.
What's our selection, Gary?
Huh?
So what's our selections?
So our next one, oh yes, I made some banners here. So we talked about Leeds, we talked about Leicester City. We'll get into the upset picks maybe a little bit later. But one thing that did come up is, I don't know if you guys saw, I was just looking at this before, is Newcastle and the sponsorship rule that they might have to abide by, which is I don't know if you guys saw that one, but supposedly they want to put in a rule, and that they asked some of the teams to talk about it, and they actually had, I think, the Newcastle representative out of the room. But I believe that essentially what they want is they don't want teams to be sponsored by companies that are either represented by the owners or have some sort of relationship with the owners. Because they're saying that this brings more revenue into the club, because essentially it's owner money coming in, which is doesn't really affect most clubs, but the cities and the is it the Chelsea's? I forget. Is it City and
City and Chelsea? City and Newcastle.
City and Chelsea, I think their ownership, or some of those
big ones,
their owners have some sort of relationship with the sponsorships that are going on with those clubs. But now, all of a sudden, they want to put in this new rule for Newcastle, and people, some people are like, well, you let them in, and now you want to change the rules to kind of hinder them because that they might have more money coming in. Well, that's the, I don't know if you guys have any comments on that, but I kind of feel like that's a little two-faced and a little bit
sour grapes, isn't it? A little bit, it feels. Yep. And this is putting the human rights thing and all of that to one side. This is focusing just on sponsorship and revenue. Like, I don't know how it all works, but it's like, you've got the Manchester City, and they're owned by the whatever royal family, and then a company will come in and say, we're Johnson's Cars, and we want to sponsor one of your hoardings. And how much is that? Well, usually it's 10 grand to have one of them. Well, we're by the same holding company as the prince that owns, so we'll give you 90 grand, and everybody's happy, right? It's more revenue. And I suppose that's like a real basic way of explaining how they break the rules. But if they're going to do that, then do it across the board. So that, obviously it has to affect everybody. So if they're going to do that, then is there now going to be kickback from the Man Cities? Because Man City will be like, well, hold on a minute, this nobbles us. How can we go out and buy the next Mbappe if we can't use these loopholes? So it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. I don't think it's something that really affects Arsenal, really. I mean, we get 60 million a year from Adidas, which goes into our transfer kitty. And for us, We just need to make sure that we're still an attractive prospect, that we are sponsored by Arsenal and not fucking, I don't know, Admiral or Bukta or some other fucking shitty, sports company. But I suppose it does help us if it means that it's going to make their spending power more reasonable. But it does sound a little bit sour grapes because it's Newcastle. It's been going on for ages. So
yeah,
maybe it's a case of Newcastle's a straw that broke the camel's back, and now they're like, do you know what I mean? But I don't know.
Like, could we be sponsored by the Rams? Don't the Kroenkes own the Rams?
Yeah.
Yep.
So, like, what if Arsenal was sponsored by where are they now? St. Louis? LA Rams on our kits. Like, they're like, oh, I love your LA Rams jersey. Like, oh, it's a goddamn Arsenal jersey. Stop. It's bad enough I walk around here and they're like, oh, I fly with Emirates. That's a fantastic airline. It's super cool. And I'm like, no, this.
Just stay up here. Left side.
Yeah. So if the Rams wanted to sponsor us, it's all basically like money laundering, essentially, or not laundering, but embezzling or fucking with financial fair play. So it's just a way to give an influx of cash to get around shit. So it's cheating, but it's legal cheating.
It's a clusterfuck of all of them.
Because do you mean to think like if the Saudi government wanted to give Newcastle cash, they wouldn't just fucking buy AT&T and be like, yeah, AT&T now sponsors Newcastle. Like, why not? Like, if they wanted to do it, they're gonna do it.
Yeah, I mean, I do understand that they want to control the spending, but they're making it took Newcastle getting bought out for them to go, you know what, we need to put this rule in place. But also it's grandfathered in for those that already have it in place. So they want to implement a rule that other teams are actually breaking and let it stand as is. And it's like, you can't have it both ways. Either nobody can do it or everybody can do it.
They always try to be retroactive.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, in this case, it's, you're just hurting the one team because now they have more money, right? They have more money than the next guy. And there's always going to be somebody with more money who wants to spend it all on, on the team. So that was something that came up.
I'm not sure when they have 80% of the pie.
Who is it that wants to implement this, by the way? Is it other teams in the league, or is it
Imagine
governing body? Who is it?
It's probably Arsene Wenger. He's in the middle of everything.
I think
these days.
it said here, Premier League clubs passed a temporary rule on Monday to stop teams from agreeing sponsorship deals with companies linked to their owners. So, this is so the leagues.
So it's probably everybody except for Newcastle, Manchester City.
Well, no,
Chelsea,
I think
maybe Man U, right? Everyone else.
There were two teams that voted against it: Newcastle and City.
There you go. Tells you everything you need to know. That really, that just tells you everything that you need.
No way, that's not a real stat. Really?
No, it's just I'm reading it from unless ESPN football.
That's basically going, who's guilty? We're not. The two people. Wait, what?
So yeah. So I mean, to some degree, it makes sense what they're trying to do, but they can't just say.
Like Man City and Chelsea are sitting there going, "This is fucking bullshit." While a shovel of caviar is being like shoveled into their mouth, and washed down with fucking Dom Perignon.
Yeah. A little late to put Regini fucking back in the
That's
bottom.
Actually, when like somebody's down hurt, when somebody's down hurt and all the players go to the sideline, talk to the coach, and they give them like the energy packets. Chelsea, all fucking caviar. They just little bags of caviar. They just, thank you, man. It was killing me. I couldn't have got through the second half without it. Yeah.
So that was one thing that came up. Another thing I think I did see is the 5 sub rule. I don't know if you guys saw that one, but
is that Wenger as well.
No, this one I don't think is. Let's see if it's
Wenger's responsible.
Wenger's just like you don't want me in football,
right? The Carabao Cup, because I thought I saw Leeds bring on 4 players at one point. I was talking to my mate about it. That it seems to still be in the Carabao Cup, right?
Yep.
But I don't know what the rule is. Is it every competition? What's the deal?
It's
Everything except for the Premier League, basically.
yeah.
Yeah, they brought on 5. We brought on 4.
Can you? Is it 5 in the European competitions? Is it only the Premier League that's back
That's
to
it.
3? And
Yeah.
what? So what they're saying? Should we increase it?
Well, so in the Premier League, the I guess the lower teams or the teams with not as much
They
money,
voted against it
they
last year.
voted against it because they say it will benefit the big clubs like City. City brings in 5 players, and you bring in 5 players, you basically have just weakened your team, and they haven't done much to weaken their team with that
By
move.
about 45%.
Yeah.
What do you
So
think?
Yeah.
I think I like the if everybody else in the world is doing it, then I say why not?
Are they doing it in other leagues now, like Spain and France and
I
Germany?
believe so.
Right?
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
just the Premier League that isn't doing it. I mean,
Okay. Well, if it's working for everybody else, then it should be across the board, right?
I would expect them to. Yeah.
Yeah, just wait for the Premier League to implement it last and fuck it up somehow. Where they'll be like, "Oh shit, you brought in 6. Yeah, he took yours. You didn't bring on all your 5, so
But you
he
still
had a
make
bonus
3
one."
changes, but you can bring up to 5 players on. It's not 5 changes, right?
Mhm.
It's still 3.
Oh,
3
is that what they're going with?
Yeah, it's like you still have the 3 changes, but you can actually bring up to 5 players on, rather than having 5 individual substitutions.
That's the way it was 2 seasons ago.
No.
Yeah.
I think there should be 8 substitutions allowed in total. Whoever does them first gets them. So
What about
Arteta has to
goalkeeper?
start making some subs earlier.
What about head
Yeah.
injury substitutions?
I don't give a shit. You
I
hurt
think
your
you've got
head.
maybe special dispensation for that.
Walk it off.
You can walk it off.
Put some tussin on it.
Man up, for fuck's sake.
Man up, it's football. Let's go.
You just
Okay.
gotta be a
I'm
smart
doing
tomorrow. Who
signals.
cares?
Oh, Mrs. Stan.
Oh, uh-oh.
Mrs. Stan's calling.
Yeah. So I'm reading it here, even though I think Mr. Tom, you said 14 clubs voted against it. This article says 10 clubs actually voted against it. Newcastle being one of them.
I'd go with Mr. Tom.
Yeah. Well, I'm just reading
Over-
it from
No, I'm
Chronicle
just kidding.
Live. I don't know if that's a legitimate site.
Stan's back quick.
So yeah. So yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
also think, as well, as we're talking about rule changes, and I know I've said it before, I don't think you should get anything for a 0-0 draw. No points. You get a point
Still
for a
pushing that
1-1
one?
draw or a 2-2, but a 0-0 draw should be no points.
Yeah. Fuck off. 0-0.
Yeah, one of the things that you guys brought up, which I thought was interesting, there was a tweet out, and it talked about academies and how many players from the academies are actually out there playing in the top 31 professional leagues in the world, and Arsenal is actually on that list. So you always talk about Ajax, right? But Ajax is number 1, but Arsenal is in that list, sitting probably about 10th or 11th. So like Ajax has about 81 players in the top 31 divisions, and Arsenal has 51. So, when I looked at that, I'm like, that's actually pretty good, because there is no other team from the Premier League actually on this first page, which is good and bad. It means we're producing players that are professionals, but I always feel like either we're not getting the money for them or they're not realizing their potential at Arsenal.
Or Arteta's not playing them.
Well, no, I mean, he's playing most of them right now, right? I mean, he is playing Jacques and Milsworth Rowe.
Yeah.
But he
So
wasn't
just playing-
playing Smith Rowe last year until injury.
Yeah. Well, now that's the story is.
His hands are tied now, Gary.
Yeah, or Balogun should be getting minutes, we think, right?
Yep.
Um,
Martinelli should have been getting minutes.
I've always
So this
wondered
week-
why we've never been able to. It's been a while since we brought a defensive player through come through the ranks, whether it be a fullback or a centre back. I mean, the last
Been
one that
forever.
I can actually think of, and he didn't really set the world alight, was Kieran Gibbs. right? Is there anyone
Yeah.
after that I may have missed that has come through the ranks and actually, look the part? We seem to focus on a lot of outfield players, as in the midfield and the attacking part of it. But what's happening to players like Ballard, for example? And there's another one that his name slips my mind, but Daniel Ballard. There's another one as well, McGuinness.
One of them is gone, right? One of them is actually
Ballard's on loan somewhere.
Yeah.
Millwall, is it?
One's Millwall and one's Portsmouth. I thought if I read that, if I'm thinking correctly, but I think is it one of them could come back, right? But the other one, I thought they sold him. So
I think Ballard's at Millwall and McGuinness. I'm not sure what's happened to him, but it just seems like a while since there's been any, talk of a defender that's going to be breaking through. I can remember not so long ago as well, where people were talking about, was it John Jules, forward for us at Arsenal?
Yeah.
Been out on loan for some time, and he seems to have faded off somewhere into the background a little bit. But do you know the guy I mean? He looks like the cat off of. I think he's actually related to the cat off of Red Dwarf. He's his
Red Dwarf.
Nephew. Yeah, he's his nephew. Danny, what is his name? Is Joanne Jules. I think it's his nephew or something, but he seems to have fallen off the radar. There's a lot of talk about him. I remember seeing him playing a couple of maybe League Cup games as a substitute towards the end of Wenger's tenure, something like that, but just seems to disappeared.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, look, Riddy says Ballard and McGuinness both full of internationals with Northern Ireland.
What's right here? Okay, so Millwall, yeah. Yeah, so I mean, what is Arsenal doing, right? Yeah, they have good players coming through. We're not seeing them.
It's funny because watching that 4-part documentary about the Premier League, there was a lot of focus at the beginning about Man United, and it got me thinking when they were showing about when they brought through those 6 young players. They all brought them up, and the season before that, they got rid of some proper senior squad players. They got rid of Andre Kanchelskis was one. There was like 3 or 4 players that still had fuel in the tank. It weren't like they were coming to the end of their powers, and they got rid of them and they brought it up 6 players, didn't they? It was like Gary Neville, Nicky Butt, Paul Scholes, David Beckham, Phil Neville, someone else. There's like 6 of them, Ryan Giggs. And if you remember at the beginning of that season, they lost their first game. I think it was to Villa 3-1. And Alan Hansen turned around and says, well, it's ridiculous. You're never going to win anything with kids. And they did, And I keep talking about how it's a big gamble bringing through so many young players at the same time into the team. And it's going to come, there's going to be inconsistencies. However, you look at it, just reminded me when I was watching it the other day that it has been done. It has been done. A team has brought in a clutch of young players all at the same time. All right, maybe they've all not come from our academy, but it has been done. So you never know. You never know, right? And also what struck me about that as well was I think Alex Ferguson had been with Man United 5, maybe 6 seasons before they started winning anything. And they wanted him out. He'd come from Aberdeen, done really well with Aberdeen because, as you know, up in Scotland, the 2 big boys, it's always the same, isn't it? It's always Rangers, it's always Celtic. But Aberdeen had won a few, they'd maybe finished second and won a cup, something like that. And that's why they brought him in. But 5, 6 seasons it took them to really get to the winning ways. And nobody trusted the process. A lot of people didn't trust Ferguson's process during those first 5 years, but it turned out well. And I'm saying this because as I was watching back, it got me thinking, right? And I was about when Mikel Arteta came in, he wasn't my first choice, but I wasn't like, no, fuck that. I was 50-50. I was lukewarm. The scales are very evenly balanced. I was like, okay, it's a gamble, 50-50. And I got to the stage where, as time went on, I got to the stage where I was probably like 85% I'm done with him, and the rest I'm in. But now, over a small period, I'm back to about maybe I'm like 70-40. And that's not because you're a flip-flop. You just go by what you see, what's happening in front of you.
That's the other 10 there, Stan. You got to slim one of them now.
No, I mean the thing is, I don't. If you're gonna bring in Arteta, then you need to back it up, right? And they didn't do that for him. They needed to he needed to either have the best players coming in right away, or he needed to have the best structure around him. And he had neither, right? Based on where we are today, they had to revamp the entire structure around him, and we're still not getting the best players because we don't have the right people making those, in those discussions right now. They can't get the right players in, so he's at it. And that's the problem. If you're going to bring him in, then you need to back it up, and they didn't do that for me. That they can't go out and sell Arsenal to the right players because I feel like they still can't. We did. I think we are playing players that weren't expected to be starters for us, but I think we needed starters. I think we needed a starter for Xhaka's position. We needed a starter for right back, which we did complete. We needed to figure out if we had a striker up top. And I don't think we have that answer right still, because we kind of like the combination of Aubameyang and Lacazette, but we'd rather have one player who can kind of do good parts of both of them. Right, that's what we really want. We just have to play both of them, and we kind of weaken other positions because of it, because we're asking other players to kind of back up. So I think once again, I've heard this multiple times. We are playing some players out of position. Right, we are asking them to do things they can't do, and then when it fails, it looks bad. But that's because we can't sell, we can't get the right players in. But I don't know if Arteta knows what that is. Does he? That's me rambling on about that. Anybody have anything else to say on that one?
Yeah, I think Arteta has been, the way they backed Arteta up was they told him, we'll give you 5 years or we'll give you 3 years or whatever they told him, because I've said it since the start, and there's some agreement that none of us are privy to, because you don't do the things he's done and act the way he's acted without some sense of security. And I think you're totally right, Stan. I didn't remember that about Ferguson, about Sir Alex taking that long. I didn't realize that. And so, I mean, that all kind of fits with who he is as a person, Arteta. He's a very intellectual person. He's a very thinking. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's how he sold them, was like, listen, it takes time, but if you're willing to give me time, I'm going to, from the ground up, young players, taking some academy players, not going out and spending all of your money right now. And I will, over 2 or 3 seasons, transform the team. But you got to be willing to have some bad seasons.
Yeah, I would agree with that to some degree, but some of the moves didn't make any sense then, right? No. Like the William move to me didn't make any sense because that was a really expensive move for a player that
got it wrong.
If you're thinking that you have 3 to 5 years to get this thing right, then that was a really expensive proposition to put him in, to bring him in.
That seems like an immediate move of like, let's keep us safe. Let's bring in somebody who I know has some footballing smarts and can teach some of these guys. The Willian and David Luiz only really makes sense if you think it's somebody who's coming in and saying, I'm going to build a young team and I need winners to mentor some people for a minute who can also maybe.
Yeah, but when it fails, you should just drop it and move on, right? But we didn't do that. Yeah. William failed.
He doesn't do that in a game, though.
Yeah.
So that's his fatal flaw.
Yeah. But William had many. William's the reason why we all say Pepe didn't get his chance in that first season with William, because that first half of the season he didn't play him Pepe that much. Pepe played a lot of the games in the second half of the season. You know, if you look at kind of how the minutes were kind of laid out, at least I believe that's the case. But William, after that first match of the season, he never scored. He never did anything again until like the last game of the season, which was telling in itself that he finally scores in his last match of the game, you know, and he did nothing for the 36 before that.
I think with both Alex Ferguson in those early years and Mikel Arteta now, the way that they're being treated by their irrespective boards, they are the project. Mikel Arteta is the project here. And I think that the club have bought into that. And for the club to get rid of Mikel Arteta, it's going to have to get excruciatingly bad, really untenable.
Yeah.
Because they knew that when they brought him in, how big of a gamble it was. Because it was a gamble. And when you make a gamble like that, I think that you really have to see it through to the end. Because if you tap out early and rip it up and start again, who looks bad? You do for making that gamble in the first place, right? You're like, well, you fucking wasted all that time. So when you go in with someone like that, you're all in. You are all in. And I've said it before that my judgment is going to come on Mikel Arteta. Since he's been our manager, it will come after that Watford game. And so far, he's beginning to pick it up. If I get to that Watford game and I'm happy with where we are now with him, then I will extend that to probably February. Because I think that
don't do it, Stan.
He then has to show me in January what he's going to do, what moves he's going to make to counter the deficiencies that we're going to have around that period. And there's obviously still more work to be done. So he gets another extension, and that's how it goes. We get to February, I look at it again, and I see whether there's been the right improvement or not. But I really want it to work out for him. Because if it works out for him, it works out for everyone. The worst thing that can happen is that we end up going down the road of Man United and going through that revolving door of managers. New manager comes in. He doesn't like what the previous manager done. He wants to rip that up. He wants to move this guy on. These players start feeling unhappy because they don't know if they're going to be playing every week. He wants to bring this guy in. That doesn't work. Can make a knee-jerk reaction, and we just continually in flux. And the team never beds in. It never beds in. I want to see some bedding in. And I don't care whether it's with Mikel Arteta or Alan Pardew. As long as we get someone that can get the most out of the players and we have a little bit of stability, because that's the biggest thing that we're missing at the minute as Arsenal is stability.
No, definitely. And, hopefully we do see that. I think Brady remembers that face from Arteta when that goal goes in for William. It was priceless. I do want to do a couple of things before we go, because we have hit the 2-hour mark. I had a couple of things to talk about. I don't know if so there was just talking about United and Ole in, Ole out, but also I did see a tweet. I don't know how legit it is, that Eddie Nketiah has been offered a 3-year contract, which I just find
he got offered a deal.
Yeah, so I just find that one kind of a little surprising, but I would like to get our upset picks in. So I'm going to go there, and then maybe we'll see how we feel after that. I sent these guys the upset picks, so we're just going to go through them, starting with our early, I guess for us over here, the early morning game. Leicester City, or should I say Arsenal and Leicester City, that's a 9 versus 10. What are you guys thinking on that one? I'll start with Stan.
2-1, all of us, I think.
Yeah.
I think Arsenal. Everybody thinks Arsenal's going to win that one.
Yeah.
Like I said, I had a draw for that, so I guess I have to stick with my draw if I'm gonna we continue. So next up at the 10 o'clock hour, or at least over here in the States for those. So that's 3 o'clock for you, for the UK. You've got the first match I have here is Burnley playing at home versus Brentford. That's 18 versus 12. Anybody see an upset here with Burnley?
That's my pick for the week.
That's your pick, so you're picking Brentford. That one?
I'm going to go Burnley. I think Burnley are going to do Brentford. I think they're due a win. And I think that this might be the one at home where they might be able to get it.
Stands to pick up some points.
Exactly. And that. as well.
Look who we got in here. We got Miss Molina. I think this is really early, I guess late night for you. Hope you're doing all right. Thanks for joining us. Yeah. We're not good sellers. That is true. Hello. Thanks, Miss
Terrible
Molina.
sellers.
Yep. So nobody upset pick on that one. So next up is Liverpool home to Brighton. This is a 2 versus 5 matchup. Anybody see an upset here?
This would be easy for Liverpool, I think.
Yeah, I don't see Liverpool.
Yeah.
I don't see Liverpool losing this one. Not the way they've been playing. After that, next up, we've got City home to Crystal Palace. That's a 3 versus 15. Nice pickup if this is an upset, but an upset also could mean they draw. So anybody see Crystal Palace drawing to City? Because I don't see a win.
I see that's a harder match for Man City than they think it's going to be, but it's hard to go against them.
Mm-hmm.
Don't think it's a clean sheet.
All right, so here we go. The next one, the last one in that 10 o'clock, or it should be 3 o'clock hour. We've got number 19 Newcastle home to Chelsea, number 1.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I know.
I'm not touching that one with a 10.
I know Lukaku's been out for a while. I don't know if he's going to still be out for this one, but doesn't matter.
I'm taking Newcastle over Chelsea.
You are.
I think Chelsea are going to come in cocky, having put up 7 against Norwich, and they're like, here we go again. Let's do it. Let's show these new money how old money does it.
Mm.
And meanwhile, we're like, y'all are fucking new money. Shut up. And look, Alan Saint-Maximin is going to go off, and him and Callum Wilson, and 1-0. Let's just say that the goals just aren't going to fly.
Yeah, I could see that one. I could see the upset, but it would be a win for Castle. I could see a draw, which is also an upset for a team that you definitely in this kind of a matchup.
But good. Let's level the play and let's get Chelsea out of the lead a little bit and make it interesting.
Yep. All right.
I don't want them to just win the rest of the fucking matches.
All right. So here's the Sunday matches. The first match of the day is number 14 Watford home to Southampton 16.
Southampton is lower than Watford.
Yep. Yes,
They're
Watford has
both
been
crap.
pretty good in the last couple of games. Anybody see an upset here?
No, I think draw.
No.
Draw, yeah. Not really an
Watford
entertaining
takes
game there.
Draw.
All right.
Who gives a fuck game of the week?
Yeah, so the last game. Oh, the Watford game is also a 10 o'clock game. The last game of the day. This is one of which I believe we all hate. Number 6.
We just want to draw.
Number 6, that team in North London versus number 7, United.
We want to draw.
Draw.
Nope.
If by draw you mean I want the center circle to open up and both teams get sucked inside, that's what I mean by a draw.
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement. That's going to be So we really want to see we're going to see something silly happen, something really bad happen. So
maybe I like the United win, and it keeps Ollie at the wheel for just a little bit longer.
That also. Ooh.
I was just about to say that,
Stan.
I was like, you know what? If I'm hard pressed, Tottenham losing and Ollie staying in the job, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and that was one of the topics I still had is do we talk about Ole in, Ole out?
Mm-hmm. Ollie in all the way.
So next up, Sunday, first match of the day, number 20 Norwich City home to Leeds, number 17.
Leeds are bad. Norwich are worse. I think Leeds haven't scored more than 1 goal this season in a game, I believe, and I think they scored 3. But I'm tempted to put Timo Pukki in my fantasy team. He's cheap enough, and Norwich actually has a decent run of games coming up.
Right.
Who knows?
You're going with Leeds. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, Leeds is gonna. Yeah, I have to.
All right, this is probably the match that at least I know I'm gonna be an upset pick for me. But number 13 Villa home to West Ham.
Yep, that was my upset.
Yeah,
pick.
this is gonna be a tough.
What?
It's gonna be a tough one, but it is a game that's possible. Maybe not, but it's possible. So
Villains are at home.
Tony thinks it's going to be an upset. Yeah.
Yep.
And Lolo, did you want to change yours from Newcastle, or are you still going to stick with that?
No.
Okay.
To take Villa, shitty Villa over West Ham, my bubble blowing, my daughter's favorite team. No, she would kill me.
Got it.
She would strangle me.
She
in my
won't know any
sleep.
better.
Yeah.
She won't
Yeah.
know.
She
And then-
watches all my shows.
She's not why I watch this.
Yeah, and then on Monday late, you've got 11 Wolves, Wolverhampton home to number 8 Everton.
Oh, Wolves are going to beat Everton.
Mm.
I still would rather call Newcastle, but Wolves are going to beat Everton.
Yep.
That's just going to happen.
True. All
Everton
right.
are going. "Woo."
So the picks are in. We'll wait and hear what we got from the others on the team, but our picks are in. I guess before we head out, United and what could be the beginning of the end for Ole. I know. I think I saw last that he's got 3 matches to prove himself.
Or
Let's
less
see.
since he's pretty much already lost the dressing room. What's the problem?
So I don't know what. Let's see what those 3
I
matches
don't believe
are.
any of that.
You don't think he's lost the dressing room?
I don't think we know if he has. He may have, but
Mm.
I think all the talk of Ollie losing the dressing room is like, you don't fucking know. Shut up. Nobody fucking knows unless you're in the dressing room. And then you still don't even really know.
You just have your cock in your hand.
Yeah, you're just standing there washing your balls.
Well, yeah. See, so these are their next 3 matches. So away to the Spurs, away to Atalanta, and then home to City as a.
They're like, here's a favor. You can have these 3 games.
And then
That was like Arteta's first. Yeah.
the next match after that is away to Watford, which after going through those 3 matches they could lose that one going on the road.
It's always the same though, isn't it? For Ollie, he's always on the brink of getting fired, and then they have a few wins or whatever, and then it all dies down again, and then they get their pants pulled down, and he's back in the news. It's always he's like a cockroach, mate, like that goes off in a nuclear blast. He'll still be scurrying around, out surviving all of us. So I think he's going to be there for a while yet.
Meanwhile,
He's
finishing
been very
second, third in the
indecisive
league.
at Manchester United. I don't see that indecisiveness changing.
Yeah. The one thing that I just did they not just watch Chelsea? Did that not just happen?
Yeah.
Like if you want a blueprint of maybe when you should make that change, even though you're still okay.
Maybe he's
Right,
a project.
Chelsea.
I mean, you could say the same thing at Arsenal, right?
He's been there a lot longer though. He's been there 5-6 years now. This is a long project, isn't it?
How long
I
has he
think it's
been
his
there?
4th
mate?
year.
It's been a
I think
while.
it's his 4th.
I thought it's more than that because Arteta's in this is his third
Third
season
season.
that he's been part of Arsenal. I thought Ole's been around a little bit longer than that.
And they backed him. I mean, there's a good players in that team. There's no doubt about it, right?
They
It's
are
a
spending the
players.
money,
Yeah,
right? Yeah. You know what? You're
It's
right.
that Lampard thing, isn't it? It's like, for me, I think what happened at Chelsea is a glaring example to all of what a good manager actually does for your team. Because Frank Lampard was backed. No 2 ways about it. Whatever he wanted, they got it for him and then some.
Yeah.
And they gave him plenty of time. And he was only able to get those group of players to a certain level. And that was certain level was paired with the experience that he has as a manager at that time.
Mhm.
They bring in someone like Tommy Tickle in the middle of a season where he can't go out and just go straight into a window and bring players in. What happens? Cup, they get Champions League final. There's no coincidence or accident how that happened. That is an example of what happens with an experienced manager. Therefore, Arsenal were willing to ride that out because Mikel Arteta is the project, and they understand that it's not going to bear fruit in the first few seasons. I just think that's the way. That's where they put all of their eggs into that basket. That's where the bets are. Otherwise, they would have pulled the plug. If that wasn't the case, Mikel Arteta would have gone a while back.
Yeah. So I am wrong. Yeah, I thought it
3
was a lot
years
more.
in December.
Yeah, I mean, he was a caretaker in December. In December, so he's in his third season. This is the beginning of his third season, full season. So he's on kind of the Arteta track a little bit, a year more, but or I guess 2 years more, right? Because he's in his fourth season with the club. Arteta's in his, I guess, third. So yeah. I just thought it was. I mean, the one thing that Ole does have, he has been managing since 2008, and you like to think that means something. It means absolutely nothing, but it should mean something, right?
Go and ask Cardiff what they think about him.
Cardiff, and he went to Mulder and then played in Mulder again.
Brownie will tell you.
Yeah.
Cardiff.
Well, 2011 is when he coached, for a top flight team, Mulder, because he did. You know what? The one thing is, you look here, he was with United with their academy for 3 years, and that's what you want, right? This is the way it should work. Arteta has no experience working with young players, right? So look at all the problems he's had. He's either been with players at the end of their days or players that are young and up and coming.
So,
right?
Are you Mertesacker in?
I think no. I think he's managing that part. I mean, we just looked at the numbers,
killing
right?
it. He's
the
killing
academy.
it.
The academy is doing its job, so I think you keep him there. But
Yeah.
if Arsenal is a top 6 club, then they should go out and get a top 6 manager, if that's what they are.
Or create one. That's what they're thinking. We'll fucking create one.
Yeah, they can't create one. He hasn't like, if they created it, that meant Arteta should have gotten an academy job as soon as they decided this was the way they wanted to go.
I'm telling you, man, the first time we ever talked, I said, listen, starting 3 games in last place is the beginning of his epic poem that he's going to create, Arteta. When we win the league this year and started in last place for 3 weeks like that's the only way you can compare with the Invincibles.
What did you just say? Exactly. I was about. What are you drinking? Is that a bottle behind? Like, is that a green bottle behind us? Like,
yeah.
What is in that? Is it open?
I'm just saying. If it happens, it would compete with the Invincibles on legendary status.
Okay.
No more track for a little while.
Anybody want to call? Do we need to call the authorities? Where are you at? Where's the stoop at? Because I think I might need to call somebody.
I'm just saying.
Where's the guys with the padded
It's not out of the realms of possibilities.
I mean,
wait. I just watch you guys eat your words.
Yeah, I want to see that, but I want to be. I want to say, you know what? I was there when Lolo said.
Exactly. Right? Why not say it? Right.
Yeah,
You want to be right about us not winning the league? Like, that's not.
That's not easy, fun. Right? That's easy.
Now. Boring. I'm just saying, wouldn't it be incredible to say that? Like Leicester can always say, 2-3 seasons ago, we were like in the second division, and then we came and we won. Their story is epic. The Invincible story, epic. What would make it epic? Oh, we won the league this one time. It was a tough fought season and blah, blah. We won it. No, we were literally last place for 3 weeks and we won the fucking league.
if Arteta wants to break some records, that would be a good record to break.
That would be a
team
hell of a.
who's
He's
sat
breaking
at
all
the
the
bottom
wrong
of the
records there,
who's
Gary.
lost the first 3 matches of the season. One not only finishes in the top 4, or 6, which has not ever happened, but wins it.
Dude, he would become a legend, done, unfireable for 20 years.
Gosh.
If you can do that, then yeah. So that was
Let him do it.
That I think we've covered the
I think
games.
Lobo
We covered the
was beer of the
news.
day.
Like I said, nobody had too much to say about. Oh, what about the Eddie 3 years? You guys are okay with that?
No, I'm
Everybody-
not okay with Eddie being on 70,000 a week.
Yeah,
Eddie needs to go bye.
yeah. I read. Sorry, Arsenal's prepared to offer, so they're not even. So they're getting it prepped. Yep. Ray's on holiday. He hanging out with the family, taking a week or 2 off. So it'll just be us on. We will see you, and we'll talk about that on Saturday or Sunday. I think we're over the 2-hour mark. I didn't even. It's not a long outro like Ray, but I'm ready to go. I think you guys are ready to go.
Overshoot, Gary.
So
All right,
here
guys,
we go.
come check us out tomorrow for happy hour. By the way, we'll be doing happy hour in costume.
Oh, nice.
Premier League
Nice.
trivia Halloween happy hour edition. So
Hey,
yeah,
Josh says-
check out what Mr. Tom will be wearing. We're all scared to death already.
Not Nesferatu.
Yeah.
Nobody knows. He won't tell us. We are scared.
Nice. And then Stan, for those, Stan is I guess he's a regular now. Is that right? Here with the Arsenal fan circle a bit, but he's
Yeah,
also
been
on Tuesdays on.
Really longer than you, mate.
No, but you kind of disappeared for a little while, so then I took your spot.
Stan went on holiday.
Sundays is very early for me, right? Sundays is quite early for me. I'm usually like in bed listening to you guys on a Sunday, but I try to get in on Thursdays as much as I can.
Nice. Yeah, so we'll do our Sunday. Stan has to go, but you will see him on the Bearded Gooner, or same old Arsenal USA
Next
for those
Tuesday,
that are remember that on Tuesday.
And I think I'm also on. There's a rumor that I'll be on Bird Camp Wonderland as well next week, maybe on Wednesday or Thursday as well.
Very nice. I'll be hanging out with Danny. So that's for those who don't know Danny, you should check him out as well. Good channel. And below him is Tony, a regular here, Arsenal Fan
Yep.
Circle.
Yep.
So you'll see him on Sunday and Thursdays.
You might see me Saturday morning on Ryan's.
Oh, there you go,
Watch
Mr.
along.
Arsenal. Mr. Arsenal's channel. You'll see us. Lolo has already said we'll see. You should come to the happy hour. It's a fun time. They do quizzes every so often, so you get a little trivia.
I'm still waiting for Gary to drive down there and show up on the stoop.
You know what? I saw
Bring
the
it.
stoop, and it's a really nice stoop for anybody who's seen it. You really want it. If you have the opportunity to go and hang out in a stoop, and you can, you should do it. It's a big stoop. There's a lot of space.
Yeah,
So,
it's a big stoop and lots of beer as well. So bring it
Nice.
on.
nice.
Stoop is all about the talking nonsense as well. We say what we feel, and we hope the facts back us up. And if not, whatever.
Who gives a fuck?
Yeah,
It's
Yeah.
fucking football.
yeah.
I've been a
And,
Saints fan for forever, so like, we don't rest on facts.
Yeah. Yep, and Gary or DWTT for those who
Gary
know
can
me.
be found fucking everywhere.
I'm here Tuesdays and Thursdays. I do a show on Monday on the Red Cannon, and actually I think I think I might be doing a watch along on Saturday on the Red Cannon. So you'll see me there. Otherwise, you'll see me in the chat. So that's where I'm at a lot of times. So we will see everybody next I guess Sunday, if not Thursday, for those who get it. Thanks for joining us. Ray, have fun in Florida, and we will see you guys on the next one. See ya, and
He's from Brooklyn, y'all.
we're out of here. Let me figure out and get to that